doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always number two. No one knows how hard I tried. Oh, I have feelings that I can't explain, driving me insane. All my life been so polite, but I'll sleep alone tonight. 'Cause I'm just kidding, anywhere else I'd be a 10. Is it my destiny to live and die a life of blonde fragility? I'm just kidding, where I see love she sees a friend. What will it take for her to see the man behind the tent and fight for me?
Hello, welcome back to Floating Through Film. This is your host Luke, and today for episode 71, we are doing the infamous double feature that I'm sure everyone's sick of hearing about at this point.
Probably, yeah. We're kind of late, though.
We're late.
By the time this comes out, it'll be a few weeks to breathe.
Granted, we did just watch Oppenheimer literally last night, which is
we did, yeah.
Not ideal when you want to talk about it in depth.
Or it is ideal, maybe. It's still kind of fresh in my head.
I kind of want. I would rather watch it multiple times.
Yes.
Before I would reveal, but you know what? We're just doing it.
It is kind of. We're doing newer movies, like.
This
is part of the fun of reviewing.
But yeah, we're doing Barbie and Oppenheimer, obviously. Those are the two movies we're doing today. And so before we get into those, I'm going to introduce my co-host Danny.
Hello.
And Blake.
What's up?
And
So our movie's back. The cinema back.
Well, it's kind of... It's interesting because, like, obviously this is, like, a really good, like, start of momentum for movies, but then you're hearing, like, all these studios are now moving to 2024 because of the strike, of SAG strike.
So right when we were back,
just immediately ripped away any hope. But
yeah, if Dune gets moved, dude, I think that's gonna be like the big one. Honestly.
Which one?
If Dune gets moved.
Yeah, if they move Killers of the Flower Moon,
no, stop. They're not moving that. They're not.
It's October. That. I'm getting worried. That's all I'm gonna say.
They better fucking not.
I would be so mad. But
no. But
but this is good for, like, especially because like I've kind of been like I'm not usually interested in box office like at all, and I've been like kind of looking at like following it a little bit. And it's kind of crazy how well both these movies are doing.
Yeah.
Like Oppenheimer is like way overperforming expectations. Like obviously Barbie is like doing amazing, which I presume was expected.
Yes,
but Oppenheimer
it's still blowing it, even its expectations out of the water.
Like Oppenheimer, like for a 3-hour R-rated historical drama, like it's crazy the number it's doing. It's like it's over 100 mil domestically already.
Yep.
Made like 85 mil opening weekend, I believe.
Yeah, Oppenheimer was over 80, I think, and Barbie was over 150. I can't find the exact numbers right now because it's like, it's been over a week now, or it's been almost a week anyway.
Yes. Yeah, basically.
But I think the opening weekend was like over 150 for Barbie, and then like over 80 for Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
And like compared to like initial projections, that's like way better.
Yeah. Which I definitely
think proof that the hype train is real.
Yeah, and like
a hype train is real. Like once you start building hype for a movie, like people will go watch it.
Yeah, and people would be willing to see like good movies too, like well-made.
Well, I mean, yes, that's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's both. I think
that's part of it.
Yeah.
But that's part of why the hype is like, oh, we can actually get hype for a movie that people are saying is good.
Yeah.
You know, instead of just hype because it's like the fourth Marvel movie and maybe the post-credit scene's good.
Yeah. But
they did show Blue Beetle previewing before Barbie, and it looked terrible.
That's gonna lose so much money. Apparently, because I saw a tweet. Apparently, that cost more than Oppenheimer did, budget-wise.
Luke just did a spick take, an actual spick.
Yeah, he actually did.
That's so bad. Oh, God.
But think about that, though.
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, I don't either.
What are we doing at this point? Like, anyway.
Yeah, Blue Beetle, $120 million. Oppenheimer, $100 million.
Jesus Christ.
What? That's so crazy, honestly. Oh my God.
Crazy.
But dude, I think that is part of it, though. Like, part of movies being back is scale down the budgets, first and foremost. So then you don't have to have such a huge success to be considered a success in the first place.
Yeah. And like,
instead of spending, dude, think about it. Blue Beetle. That's like a C-tier DC movie.
Yeah.
$120 million. Costs more than Oppenheimer. That's being marketed as an event movie. It's like crazy.
Yeah, and like it hopefully this realization this year of like everything bombing basically because of this, the overinflated budgets.
A lot of IP kind of exhausted IP.
Yeah.
Really.
Which
like even Mission Impossible.
Yeah, a little bit. It
Well,
definitely
that
fell
one
off,
definitely got hurt by these movies being so hyped.
that was a dumb decision, but like yeah,
and like releasing an IMAX centric.
But I'm still worried that like studios will see Barbie's success and like okay, I guess we can just go ahead and make movies about like toy brands and stuff now. And,
well, that's exactly what Mattel's gonna do though.
Yeah,
that's what Mattel's gonna do. But the thing that makes it different is at least Barbie, like it's made very well. Like you can't just like both these movies are made mostly practically also. Like that's one of the huge things, and I think audiences are like drawn to that specifically also because we see the CGI sheen on fucking everything nowadays.
Yeah.
Like we know it's fake. Like the Flash literally looks like a video game.
Oh man.
Like,
yeah, some of the clips I saw of that were just
and honestly,
awful.
Mission Impossible 7 also looked like a video game in parts. Like all the stunts were real in that, which is awesome. But like even that one had, like we mentioned last week, it still looked not that great sometimes.
Yeah.
Because of the CGI.
It seems like even like they went short on CGI even compared to like Mission Fallout or Rogue Nation, you know.
Yeah.
But exactly, like these two movies, you can feel the practical, just aspect of the movies.
Yeah.
Way more than
because there's obviously still special effects in both.
Oh yeah.
But they're mostly real. Like the sets that they're dancing on and the sets in Barbie are real. Like the bomb that they filmed in Oppenheimer, that's real. Like
that's insane.
like
we'll talk.
And like at the end of the day, CG can also be really good. Like we just did Avatar, you know, earlier. December anyway. But it's not studios use CG to cut costs instead of using CG to be like, what can we do different than what it's like instead of what would normally look good practical, how can we cut that cost and do it CG wise or something?
Yeah, and good CGI doesn't benefit at all. It hurts itself when you have a franchise model that's basically for churning out movies every single year.
Yes,
so.
yes.
It's
I mean, and a lot of it's just like
takes time, you know?
And a lot of it is studio waste. Like it's not like these like that Secret Wars show cost like $200 million.
Or Secret Invasion, I think.
Secret Invasion, yeah.
Oh my god.
$200 million.
For like not even a theatrical release. Like,
hopefully, you guys have seen some of the pictures on Twitter and stuff.
I have not seen.
Like Emilia Clarke, with the Hulk arm and stuff, or Sam Jackson, like
you need to show me this
winding up. His arm turns into like a Hulk arm and he punches.
Okay, that sounds hilarious.
Yeah, but it's like it looks so fake. Like it looks like that's an MCU TV show that probably costs like it looks like CW quality.
Oh my god.
You know, like, oh, okay, Marvel's doing like CW, that kind of makes sense. But you're like, wait, that costs more than Oppenheimer? Like, what? Like,
2 times more.
2 times, yeah.
No, but they had like 10 episodes or something. So it was just but still.
Oh boy. But, I mean, we could stop talking about more.
We could go to Barbie. We already mentioned Barbie briefly.
Yeah, but before we actually get into the movie, what do you guys... we'll do this for both filmmakers today. Like, what are your opinions on Greta Gerwig? If you have many at all. Because she is
I don't have many. I think you have probably the most. You've seen the most.
I think you have the most.
Well, and you have probably the closest sensibility to her in terms of films you guys like.
Okay, I guess. Yeah. I mean, yes. For this
movie,
yes.
Like,
for this movie, yes.
Just her likes in general, though, too.
I guess.
Because this movie does have a lot of her likes just in general. Like, obviously.
Well, I was more thinking about, like, when I was saying that we're fine, I was, like, more thinking about Little Women and Lady Bird. But, yeah, for this movie, for sure.
For this movie.
But, I mean, like, what were you going to say about her?
Oh, I mean, I've seen Lady Bird once, and it was a long time ago. So, like, it was, like, when it came out, and that's it. So, I really don't have much to say. And, like, Noah Baumbach's movies, because I know they wrote a few movies. And they wrote this one, too, I think.
Yeah.
And they wrote a few movies. Yes.
Okay, I thought so.
Like, I haven't seen that many of his movies either, so I just... I'll just say I like Barbie too. Like, she seems to me like a serious filmmaker, like a real filmmaker.
Yeah,
like a real.
What do you think though about her like going to direct the Narnia movies for Netflix?
I mean, that kind
of
is that
her next one?
Yeah.
Well, she did say she wanted to be a studio director now. So
see, that's what I was going to. Okay, I was going to mention this earlier before we started, but I wanted to save it for now.
Yeah.
What I was kind of thinking in my head is because she did say something like, "I want to be the next Kubrick or the next kind of studio system director that still makes independent movies in a studio system kind of thing."
Yeah.
And that's a good aspiration, I think. Like a lot of great filmmakers have done that, obviously.
As long as
Jordan Peele, I think, is doing that.
Yeah. Like if you
like he's someone even now. Nolan's doing it now, exactly. Well, that's why I was going to bring up Nolan specifically because I feel like he really did that with like. I think she's actually specifically thinking about Nolan with Batman Begins and kind of doing his Batman trilogy.
Yeah.
Establish himself as someone who can make a lot of money, like establishing even IP.
Yeah.
And then like that basically he even
Gets
establishes
a blank
his
check,
name because of
basically,
that IP, and then he can make his whatever movies he wants after that.
Yeah.
It does make me nervous though that she's doing Netflix.
Well, it's like that's a good plan, but at the same time, it's easily corruptible. I feel like.
Yes, exactly. Like a lot of filmmakers want to do that.
Yeah,
you know?
but do they have the sauce?
Yes, exactly.
Which I mean,
Exactly.
Greta Gerwig definitely she has potential for sure.
She has potential.
Which I'm interested to see how.
And Barbie definitely has its moments. Like it's visually a very great looking movie.
Yeah.
At least the first and third acts.
And the performances she gets out of actors in all three of her movies are great.
Honestly,
too.
yeah. Even though at this point, like we have to just say Margot Robbie's a good actress.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we already knew Ryan Gosling is.
Yeah, Ryan. Oh man, Ryan Gosling. He steals the show in this movie for sure.
He does.
But it does make me nervous. Like, your next, because I was thinking Nolan with Batman Begins, right?
Yeah.
And then he even while he was doing his Batman trilogy, he did One for Me, One for Them kind of.
Yeah, he did more like low budget, like
in
Prestige.
between. Like he did the Prestige right after Begins, and then he did
Inception right after Dark Knight.
Yes, exactly.
And then Dark Knight
Interstellar.
Rises, and then,
Interstellar. But then her going from Barbie to two Narnia movies.
Yeah.
Barbie's definitely gonna get a sequel, which she's probably gonna do.
Which actually I don't know. I'm not sure. I think
It's gotta happen. It makes so much money where it's like they have to make a sequel.
Yeah,
you know, that's the thing with IP though. That's why these things are made. It's so they can make sequels.
But I think I saw a quote from her saying she's not committing to it yet.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, that's good marketing. I mean, that's good negotiation.
Yeah, good
tactics.
negotiation.
So why would you commit too early? You know.
So yeah, we'll see how.
Let them offer the contract.
Yeah, we'll see how much money they offer.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hard to turn that shit down.
So, yeah, but I guess for me with Greta Gerwig, it's like I've seen Lady Bird like a few years ago, and it really wasn't for me. Like I respect it, but like I don't think I was really the intended audience for that film. But I respect it for sure. Little Woman, which I watched like a while ago too. I need to rewatch Little Woman because I loved it when I first watched it. Like. From what I remember, like I don't remember like exactly like how to like say this, but like I remember like she brought an interesting perspective on the Little Woman story, which I really liked, and I did really enjoy it. So, but I need to rewatch it. But Little Woman, I loved when I watched it. So, and Barbie was it's a movie I've been going back and forth on because I think like oh maybe I'm too harsh on it. And then I start thinking of other stuff. I'm like, maybe it was deserved for me being a bit harsh on it. I'm just mixed on it. That's the thing. It's like it's the definition of like very high highs, but also some low lows. But in general, I liked it. I think. Yeah. I definitely liked it, especially some sequences. But
no, so Greta Gerwig, I basically the exact same thing Luke said because I've seen Little Women and Lady Bird. I like Lady Bird more than you, although it's been 5 years since I've seen it. Yeah. Loved Little Women whenever I watched it. That's easily her best movie in my opinion. Don't love like Noah Baumbach's movies, so maybe that's one of the problems I have with Barbie a little bit.
I've only
like
seen Marriage Story, and I thought it was.
I don't like Marriage Story. I haven't seen Patterson, which I think he did.
No, that's Jim Jarmusch.
Oh, okay, no. Okay, never mind. Good. No, I'm happy. No, I was thinking Marriage Story then, yeah.
Damn, Patterson, I haven't seen it yet, but it looks kind of good.
No, it looks really good, so which is why I was kind of worried, because everything I watched from Noah Baumbach, I don't really love.
Oh, you haven't seen Patterson, though?
No.
Oh, okay. You're like, that's why you said okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah. No, because I don't love Frances Ha either.
I'm
which
kind of mid on him.
I'm glad that Greta Gerwig changed, like didn't become an actor. Like that sounds mean. But I mean, she was. I didn't like her in that movie as an actor. She's way better behind the camera. She's way better behind the camera.
Has she? She's still acting, I think. Though
she is still acting in some things. I think.
Maybe I don't know.
Oh, was she in Noah Baumbach's new movie that came out this last year?
Oh yeah, that Netflix movie.
Yeah, I did not see that. I don't have much interest in seeing that, but
no.
But as for Barbie, I do think it's easily my least favorite from her.
Okay.
But I still enjoyed it. Like I still had a fun time watching it, and I don't think I'm obviously not the intended audience for this one. Like I tell everyone at work because like this is how you know this movie's fucking huge. Is like people at my work. Everyone wants to see Barbie. No one goes to see movies at my work. Literally, no one ever sees a movie at my work unless it's like a scary movie or like something like this, basically. But I keep on telling them, like, they always ask me because they know I've seen it. And they're like, did you like it? And I'm like, yeah, it's good. But then I always have to say, if I was a daughter and I went to see it with my mom, or if I was a mom and I had a daughter, this movie would probably have made me cry.
Yeah.
Like, it probably would have. Like, that's the audience for this movie,
Oh,
obviously.
yeah.
Like, so while I didn't enjoy it, like while I didn't enjoy a lot of the things in it, honestly.
See, that's a fair point.
I did. It's not for me, honestly.
That's definitely true. We're like three guys about to talk about the Barbie movie. That's a good. I mean, we should say that.
Yeah, my criticism of Barbie is definitely not the politics. The politics are fine.
No.
Like we're not going to be Ben Shapiro over here. We shouldn't even mention. I shouldn't have even mentioned him. He just doesn't deserve to be mentioned. He should.
Oh yeah, he reviewed it, didn't he? Oh,
like a 40-minute one.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's so cringe. But
now let's review Barbie. We're not gonna. I mean, I don't think any of us are gonna hate on it, even though there are moments like that are very cringy.
yeah. But yeah, I'm good. I feel like I'm good at like saying like, despite my criticisms of the movie, I don't think it's like. I think it's. If you love this movie, like that's cool. Like I completely understand it. But anyway,
so are we going to go through this movie? Like, how do you want to go through this?
We'll probably vaguely talk about go through it.
All right.
But yeah, I guess
I'll let you lead then. Basically,
okay. I have the plot, Wikipedia plot up on here, but we can kind of talk.
Basically, there is like a very clear 3 acts.
Yeah, very like the
opening Barbie world where she's kind of innocent, you know.
Like the perfectness.
We're meeting everyone, and then the middle part. Just the
real world stuff.
The real world, easily the slowest parts of the movie. Like a lot of the, just slowest parts of the movie, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
And the third act, where it's kind of mixed for me, where there's some highs, but also like some like why is this in there moments.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's how I feel overall.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
that's how I see it in my head.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the third act's my favorite part of the movie. But
okay. All right.
We'll get to it. But so I guess first section is obviously Barbie Land. Which I do like this because it was honestly kind of weird going to this because like it obviously like everything that was going on it's like literally a perfect day like in Barbie Land, but it's like it's so perfect it's like weird to watch in a way like it was like I don't know how to
like dude to me it reminded me of like the opening scene of The Cat in the Hat.
I haven't seen it. Okay.
It's literally just the town is and everything runs smoothly.
This opening
and you're seeing like this obvious set, but it's like. It's such an obvious set, but it's so cool. Like it still feels like a world.
Or like Truman Show, honestly.
Truman Show is definitely.
It's literally
that's such an obvious reference.
It's literally just the opening from the Lego Movie. Like it's
Lego movie. Will Ferrell is definitely a Lego Movie connection too.
Yes, that too. The opening's great though. Like I still like it because the sets are insane.
No, that's all. Really that's all I was saying. I was going to say the first act is my favorite.
Okay.
Because it does really feel like.
It feels like
Barbie is a world.
It's so perfect. It feels
it's honestly
off,
crazy.
Honestly,
where
Oh, it's uncanny.
Yeah.
But it's like all real. Like you can tell it's real. But
no,
it's like...
this is it does feel good to just like look at real sets that someone made. You know, they filmed real bodies in and stuff.
Yeah, and I really like how like because is it 2 or 3 days that we see? Like it's like the first day is it like sort of start to go wrong a little bit, and then is there a third one or is it just 2?
Where should I start thinking about death and stuff?
Well, just like because she sets up the days that like the other days are like the exact same, but you start to see it fall apart. Like she waves to the same people in all those days, but I can't remember if it's 2 or 3.
Oh, if things start going wrong the second day or the third day, basically.
Yeah.
I think it is the second day. Yeah, where like the toast, like she like misses her plate. And stuff. Yeah.
But I really like that because like she sets it up like. It is literally like an actual like routine, like point like exactly a routine, and how it falls apart was really interesting. But,
like how a doll would actually be or something. Mechanistic.
And just like setting up like the geography of everything, like the routine of everything. So like you know what like stuff starting to go wrong. I like that part about it. Okay. If that makes any sense. But we of course we meet probably the MVP of this movie, Ken. Ryan Gosling is Ken.
Yes.
Which someone on Letterboxd made the comment. This is like one of the funniest like non-R-rated movies. Like it's kind of crazy to think like how funny it is for a non-R-rated. Because is there like
I have to disagree with that.
It's got its moments of being really
there's
funny.
A lot of funny movies. Just basically all the Chaplin movies we watch.
Okay. I was thinking more modern movies.
What's the difference?
But there's just not funny modern. There's just not funny modern movies in general.
Okay, that actually is a good point.
Like it doesn't matter if it's rated R or not. It's like what funny rated R movies are.
But still, this movie being really funny is
all right. Yes, that's fair. That's fair.
And that big part of that is
maybe especially since it's such a low bar these days with comedy.
I will say it's funny in parts, but it's also just not like some of the jokes are just.
When it commits to being a comedy.
Yes.
It's very funny.
That's why I think it's like, it honestly feels like where the movie starts to fall apart for me is where they actually start to try to introduce these plot stuff, where it's like, oh, like something's going wrong. Okay, fine. Like I kind of enjoyed maybe the existential crisis that doll is having.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, that's why you have to go to the real world and you're connected to your tether or something in the real world. And you have to go and like talk to him.
But when Michael Bay does it, not.
Whoa! It's way more logical.
I do kind of agree with you, honestly. Like,
but you know what I mean? Because like really, it feels like. We have to mention Tati.
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously, she keeps mentioning him in her interviews and stuff. No, okay, I think maybe it was like one interview.
Yeah,
but it does feel like, especially this opening stuff, where it does feel like, even though her camera's way closer in, and you know, it's still filmed way more traditionally than Tati the God is, but it's still way more observational in terms of like just watching Barbie in her world kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know, and the camera's just kind of observing the world. But then when it starts to get very in, like, oh, now she has to go save her.
More her perspective.
Yes.
Like, more subjective.
No, but the subjective, yeah, maybe that too. But I'm just saying more like, it just starts to become way more narrative, way more action.
I agree.
Like, for some reason, there has to be some kind of, she has to save the day, or there has to be some kind of world situation all of a sudden for some reason.
Yeah, for me, I wish...
And it feels very forced. Like,
yeah.
That's why even, like, in the movie's almost admitting that to some degree, because the way they defeat it is, like, it's like nothing. You know, it's like not even. It's like, why did you even introduce this end of the world stakes where it's just like nothing at the end? You know.
That's kind of probably my main complaint with the movie. Is like I wish it committed fully committed to the satire.
Yes, if it would fully commit to this kind of like it knows that it's just a Barbie movie. You know, where sometimes it knows that, and then sometimes it's trying to be like what Mattel just would want to make a Barbie movie. You know, where it's almost too serious. You know, like a Marvel movie is.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and sometimes trying to push these big ideas, and then you still just are always. At least to me, I'm just always in my mind going like, "This is just Mattel," like saying, "Look, our CEO's not that bad." Like,
it does feel like that.
she's like criticizing it kind of, but then it like at the same time it's like kind of pointless in a way, like knowing that.
Well, they're like criticizing it, and all the Mattel people are like not bad guys. Like
that's the thing. That's why it doesn't like. There'll be criticisms, but then it'll be like, oh, but that was the old Mattel. You know, it kind of has that vibe to it.
So it is
like, oh, these CEOs are learning, you know, like when it's at the very end, but when they say something like, we want an ordinary mom doll, and they're like, oh, no, we're evil, we can't do that, and then the guy's like, actually, that would make money, and they're like, oh, okay, now it's good, and so it's like, oh, well, it makes money, so it's okay now. It's like, you know, it's like,
literally.
But it is funny, though, when she walks into the boardroom, it's just all men. Like,
no, that really was funny. But they still don't emphasize that point. Like, it's like, okay, Mattel's probably still going to be all men, you know? Like, they're not going to change anything.
No, it was a funny joke though with Will Ferrell going like, "See, our founder was a woman, and we had one more in like
there was like
1999. We had a couple. Like, it was pretty funny."
I mean, and they try to have it both ways too, because then they introduced this like Barbie creator as a god. You know, she's like, I was just a businesswoman.
Yeah, that part was not great. I didn't like it.
Okay, are we skipping ahead or do?
Well, there's still some stuff in this opening sequence, like opening section. I really like the beat you off scene.
The beach off.
I'm gonna beat you off.
See, they do try to get away with some.
No, there's a lot of innuendo. Those are some of the better jokes, honestly.
Yes.
And we get
that's what makes it feel like a family for all ages movie, where like we all
it's like Shrek.
Yeah, I mean, but all family movies have that. Where as a kid you don't notice them, and then when you watch them later as adults,
well, to be fair,
how did I not notice?
No, this one had literally the characters say penis and vagina.
They did, yes, they did say that.
They
once,
and then like
or a couple times, I think.
It was just,
and then the way she turns into a human is like going to the
gynecologist.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, there definitely are.
We also get the scene in the opening section of Ryan Gosling jumping on the wave or whatever in the water or whatever, and he just like flies off. Oh, that's great. But there's also like I'm pretty sure it's a Jaws homage because Alan, of course, the Michael Cera character, one of my favorite characters.
Great character.
When Gosling does that and he gets like flown or whatever, like bounces off the wave or whatever. She, I think pretty sure it is. She briefly like does the dolly zoom shot in Jaws like with Alan.
He does, yeah.
Which there's a few references in this movie.
Oh yeah. There's probably some we're not going to recognize, but
yeah, if I can remember all. I'm pretty sure I remember the most of them. But yeah, what you said. But I think another part of this opening section I really like is the dance party scene, and all of a sudden, if you guys ever think about death, like I thought that was funny.
And everyone stops dancing.
Yeah.
No, I do like that. I like the idea of like it does feel like honestly, if you did that even in a public setting, that would actually stop everything.
Oh yeah, but then, wait, how she play it off though? I forgot. Like it's like like the death of all the fun.
Yeah, the death of the
like
party
that?
or something. I forgot what she said.
Like that.
Something like that.
It was funny though, for sure. Is there anything else in this opening section though? I mean, I guess she
how do we feel about who's the weird Barbie?
I think it's just weird Barbie, isn't it?
No, but who's the actress?
I
forgot her name.
She is a famous actress. So I'll look
but either way, like, see, this is what I'm like. This is way too cringy for me. It's like, okay, we get it. You're weird Barbie. Like, just moving your arm like a little bit like this, or like like doing the splits and stuff. It's not like that weird.
But you gotta remember, like relatively in the Barbie world, you kind of have to think about in that terms, though. I feel like.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I didn't love her character either.
Yeah,
I'm not
like
crazy about it, but
it's like it just feels so forced. Like, okay, now she's basically there to be like, oh, she's the weird.
She literally is the plot. Like, supposed to be
exactly. Like, she's the weird character that leads you to the plot.
Like, oh, and then like there's the whole thing about like the cellulite or whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she like doesn't want to get fat, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't really understand it, to be honest. But
cellulite just fat, basically. Or
wrinkles.
Also, her feet basically have gone flat, like which is kind of funny. Honestly.
That's funny. No, because there's that joke. It's like, oh, if I had human feet, I would never wear heels or something like that. Or like, yeah, why do humans wear heels?
Oh man, but I guess then this is when they go to the real world, which
the set they use to go to the real world is really cool
Great.
too.
Yeah,
like the different vehicles they take. Basically, they get there.
There's that. It's funny, the movie this made me thought of. It reminded me of Elf.
Okay,
I see
that. Yeah,
that's kind of what I immediately thought of.
Is it like a set like that too?
Mm-hmm. It's sort of.
It's a set
with like
there's some artificial. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, some artificial, some real sets. Or something. But basically, yeah.
And Ken sneaks on too.
Yeah. And which it's revealed by like Barbie singing a song, and then he like joins the song too.
I will say, because what I like about Ken and their relationship though is that they never actually become a relationship.
Oh yeah,
it stays like almost like she basically sees him as this like basically friend zone the whole movie. Oh, yeah. It's not like they get some kind of romantic conclusion at the end, which I do like.
Yeah,
because it does feel like the only way he is kind of the main character in some of the scenes, but for the most part he is just kind of tagging along.
Well, yeah, and the whole point of their relationship, it's like very one-sided.
Love,
basically. Which, yeah,
I guess they do try to make him the villain for like. That's what I'm saying. Like,
no,
they try to they try to make it to where like, oh, see, you would think in a normal Barbie and Ken movie they would be together, but this is like a modern take, so she doesn't need a Ken or something, which I kind of like.
He's kind of funny. He's hilarious,
and it's funny like that the way he does it.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, they still try to make him a main character. They still try to make him just like the evil guy too, like who represents masculinity. In general.
Just such a borderline, like not a borderline, but just such like a surface level understanding and like telling of like feminism, like that they're trying to do in this movie. Like it's not like it's just too surface level. Like they're literally with the King character saying like, if men don't get love, this is like what can happen. Like they'll turn to the patriarchy where it's just boys being boys, basically, because like that's where they'll at least find a group where they feel belonged. Which yes, that is like somehow some incels do have like that is how they like become like these like mass murderers and stuff like that. How they become like engaged in like this in the patriarchy, as we'll say. But it's just like such a surface level telling of it. It's just. If this wasn't done by Mattel, that probably would have been something Gerwig would have actually been a little bit more harsher on, I think, or like gone like deeper into. But like they're like it's just like it's bogged down by the brand it has, basically. Yeah, for sure. Or like it
feels like just and then it has also this, and this is true, and this is why I don't want to sound like at the end of the day it's a Barbie movie for little kids.
Yes,
but it is trying to introduce these ideas though. And this is why I feel like we can at least criticize a little bit, because it is at the same time. It says the word capitalism. It says the word. Does it even say communism at one point or something?
I don't know if it
not
socialism or something.
It might say socialism.
Either way, like it brings up these ideas faintly.
Yeah.
But like Mike said, it's like very surface level.
Yeah.
It's very surface level, and the way that you get people to overcome it is by lecturing them. That's not how it goes in real life. That's not how it goes.
Okay. Like that's what I was gonna say. Like, it's introducing those ideas, but it's like also like really sugarcoating it by saying like, oh, all you have to do is tell people the truth and they'll change their mind. You know,
not how it goes in real life.
Yeah, exactly. And it's almost like, and that's why I'm like at that point where I keep saying it's just a kids movie. It's just a kids movie. At that point, just don't introduce ideas. Then just make it a kids movie. You know, don't try to be like, oh, but we are also a deep movie that's also for like real cinema and everything.
Yeah,
you know?
You guys wish you commit to the like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just commit. Just like be.
Just commit to one thing. Not commit to one thing, but just like if you're gonna bring up these heavy subjects, these subjects are heavy. Like they're maybe too heavy for a kids movie. Like it's not even a good introduction to stuff like this, though. That's the thing.
No,
like it has funny jokes. It has funny jokes about it, but like, it almost feels like lying.
The patriarchy horses stuff was so.
No, yes, that it leads to some funny jokes. Like it definitely leads to some hilarious jokes.
Yeah, we're
like think about it. Like imagine if you were like, oh, the only way the way to make someone a feminist is just say some of the cringiest shit you can say to them, and that solves your problem.
Like
that's basically what happens.
Well, it's just like
like just preach the truth to them or whatever.
Yeah.
That's literally why. Like I hate using preachy, but it feels preachy
because
I agree with the stuff they're preaching. It's just it's just like
you need more new like.
It just isn't handled well.
Yeah, okay,
in my opinion,
for sure. Which like it was something I really liked about Little Woman, like.
Yes, Little Woman. That's actually a great point. Like she's already done this better.
Yeah,
Little Woman,
Little Woman's like it has those politics, but it's much more like it fits the story much better. Like when she's telling you about like when the movie is bringing up those subjects.
Yes.
Like
that's why there are certain subjects that you have to be a little more complex on or a little more nuanced on to just have to talk about the subject. That's why I feel like it's at least fair to criticize a little bit where if you're going to bring up subjects like this that require some kind of nuance and complication, and just be like, oh, we'll bring it up surface level, maybe it's only for little kids.
Yeah.
But if someone criticizes it, just be like, oh, but it's only for kids, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, just because they're kids doesn't mean you have to lie to them.
Yeah.
You know? And at certain points it does feel like that, you know, where it's like, oh, everything's so like razzle-dazzle at the end, like... even the questions of death, where I like the existential crisis and stuff. I mean, none of it's really resolved or anything. It's just like all you have to do is go get a job in the real world.
Yeah, literally.
Like, well, what is that? Like,
that's a perfect life. Like going to the real world to become a business.
And
woman.
that will solve your existential crisis. Come on.
Newsflash, Barbie. That's what causes existential crisis.
But yeah, we're in the new world.
We're in the new world, and now that kind of leads us to like maybe the characters that kind of represent what we've been talking about the most is these two human characters.
Yeah,
it almost feels like, I don't know if it's the writers or Gerwig the director or the studio or who it was, would be like, we need to have some human characters so that people watching can relate to them or something.
Yeah,
it's like why are they in here? And they're the ones, like, especially the mom. She's doing a lot of the preaching later on.
Oh yeah.
And she does have some, moving words and stuff. Especially like Blake was saying, if you're a
mother and a daughter, like this movie would definitely hit you that.
Exactly. Which I don't want to take away from.
Yes.
But at the same time, like.
But yeah, this is like the whole Barbie talking to the girl and them talking to others. It's like. This is like a sitcom. I'm like,
and it also doesn't feel like, I don't get how this really connects to the first stuff we saw in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Really. It's like, it's almost like they felt like this has to, it feels very forced written to me. Like, maybe that's just, I'm just watching it very cynically right now. And I know that how these scripts get written and stuff, but it just feels very forced.
Yeah. But I do appreciate, though, like, despite their kind of heavy focus in this section, we still get stuff with Ken that's very funny. Like,
yes.
Like, with him, like, basically discovering...
the patriarchy.
Yes.
It's hilarious. Like, and him discovering that, and, like I remember like him going to the library and like bringing out the books is like hilarious too. Like,
that's also what I'm saying though. Like, I don't want like once again it is funny. I mean everything that happens is funny, but like it's patriarchy obviously is a serious thing, you know. Yeah. And then but of course at the end he has that joke where he's like, it wasn't really patriarchy. I just liked it for the horses or something. Yeah. I really lost interest after that. But it's like, okay, so is patriarchy really real then or something? You know what I mean?
Okay, I see that.
It's like it brings up these serious subjects, and like we've kind of mentioned, it doesn't take them seriously.
It's what makes it easy for especially people on the right wing to just criticize your movie for being like not being woke feminist, like being woke. Like this is kind of their definition of it. If you're like doing this surface level like joking about it, basically. Because it's not stuff we should joke about. Like the patriarchy is fucking real. Like it is. Like it's not something to like make just stupid jokes about. There are actual like if you're an actual feminist, like actual feminists like actually working on a movement, like this would probably piss you off, honestly, in some ways, like
it feels very early wave feminist kind of thing. Like if no one had ever heard of these ideas before, where it's like most people have heard these ideas, even people that strongly disagree with them, that are huge sexists and believe in patriarchy and everything. They've heard all of these ideas already. You're not saying anything new to them. So that's why it can feel preachy to a lot of people. But at the end of the day, it's maybe not for them, obviously.
Yeah, and I feel like the studio probably made Greta Gerwig dumb it down a bit.
But that's what it feels. That's part of the problem, also, because that's why I said earlier is like you can tell that Mattel doesn't want to actually say anything about this movie.
Yes.
And so
there's
like
a conflict in that movie where it's like maybe I'm reading too much into it, but to make this split simple, it does feel like the director's trying to have some of her ideas as much as possible.
Yes.
The whole 2001 aspect of it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part.
Connecting and you can maybe even make some interesting connection between like what the doll means to a lot of girls.
Yes.
And what it represents to a lot of girls in terms of what they could be. The same way, like, what the actual, 2001 pillar meant.
Yeah.
And you could make interesting connections like that, too. But then it has, like, that, but also at the same time, it has this kind of dumbing down aspect of a corporation being, like, everything has to be surface level, everything has to be, like, the most watered down thing imaginable, so we can make the most possible money.
Yeah, it's just like,
and somehow it feels like it worked. I mean, they did it though.
They did, yes.
Like both sides are winning. Everyone's like, "Oh, Gerwig's amazing," like Margot's amazing, Ryan Gosling's amazing. It's going to be nominated for Oscars, blah blah blah. But also, Mattel's making over $150 million, and it's like one of the most successful movies in recent history.
Yeah, it's just
so they kind of made it. They actually made it work, but still,
it's just everything, especially with the board in the real life, just feels like they're not wanting to criticize, or like they're criticizing in air quotes Mattel whenever they're not really actually criticizing. They're showing.
They're definitely not.
They're showing the board as like well-meaning guys that actually think that like Barbie means something to little girls. That's Will Ferrell's whole character, is like he actually thinks it means something to little girls, and then at the end, whenever he finds out it doesn't, it's just like but actually making an ordinary doll will make money. That's whatever he actually goes for. Basically, it's like okay.
But and like at best, he's like a villain that's like a cartoony Looney Tunes villain,
Yeah, he's not actually bad. That's what it feels like.
Like they're literally like they're all clowns the whole movie. Like all the villains.
Yes.
Like they're not a real threat.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. Is there anything else though in like the middle section you were talking about? I guess we should mention mention though it is very striking how ugly this middle part is compared to the especially the shot of it, like the shots of the car,
like very great.
Looks
maybe
like,
that's on purpose, or they're like they're probably trying to overemphasize that to some degree, making it less colorful.
Like kind of like the
Yes.
Which we should mention the office in the
building, that's true. That is
very
true.
much looks like playtime.
Oh, it's definitely it's 100% a model of
and especially the part where they're chasing after Barbie. Like you can kind of it's
100% a model of the playtime lobby where he's like kind of just staring over the people working. Because we talked about this on the episode where because I don't think she does it in this one, but in the Tati one where he shows that shot, there's a lot of mannequins. And a lot of the boots too, where if you're looking, you can notice them.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's where like I get mad where directors like call out a lot of these influences. But they don't take the parts that I like from. So it's like
take the
okay, they take like a surface level aesthetic where this kind of looks like the set. But what makes Tati special is like he leaves his camera wide the whole time.
Yeah.
He lets you pick out what you see, and then you can see mannequins in the background.
He's very people in the background. Confident in his compositions.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Where this one is like, okay, you did you have the set that looks like it, and that's cool, but if you're just cutting to Margot close-ups a bunch of times, or Will Ferrell like laughing and stuff, it's like you can't even appreciate the set that much.
Yeah.
Like I was actually trying to look through the set too. You don't really see it that much, compared to Tati where you see it a lot. But
but at the same time, it's like sort of unfair.
I still like it. No, it's still fun to be like, Tati. That's really why it's there, so you can briefly see it before you move on.
But I mean, I guess isn't it after the chase they go back to Barbie Land or whatever?
I mean,
I think so.
What's the reasoning though? Because this is the whole like they're trying to build their relationship with the humans.
I think they're doing
because like we learned the mom she's like drawing like existential Barbie, and that's why she's been having.
Well, no, she played with
the doll
with Margot. I think.
The doll they had as a kid or something.
Yeah.
Was Margot.
But she was started, and then she's like, "Oh, that makes me want to draw Barbie dresses." But she started drawing like Death Barbie and stuff, and that's what made Margot.
Or something like that. Yeah.
But according to that logic, doesn't every Barbie have their like human tether?
Yes.
I didn't really.
That's
think
what
about that
people are saying. It feels like us somewhat. Yeah.
Yes. Also the island. That's what I was saying.
Yes, the island too. Yeah.
But us is with the direct connection between the two.
Yeah. Which basically the whole thing with this third section though is that the Kens have now taken over the patriarchy, and
they've taken over Barbie Land.
But think about it, they've taken it over by the same way the other people are going to take it back. Barbie's going to take it back through words.
Yes, by preaching.
Yeah. By preaching.
Which
So
I feel it. Yeah. I was gonna say I did,
but it's motivational because there's uplifting music during their montage where they're training for it or something.
Yeah. Though I will say I do really love the scenes. Okay, there's two sequences here. The main two sequences. Their like whole thing of distracting the men to take the woman.
Okay,
and
there are funny moments.
The
Godfather one is funny.
Yeah, the Godfather one. There's I can't remember like the whole thing, the one with them and the guitars and everything, and them getting the bells was great. Because aren't they playing like Wonderwall? Aren't they singing Wonderwall?
I have no idea.
I think it because I'm pretty sure they did. Hold on, is it say here? It was funny though. Honestly, it's hilarious.
I don't even know what Wonderwall is. I'm gonna be honest.
It's like the most like basic ass like guitar like. It's a meme for being like super like.
Okay.
Generic, but okay. Anyway. But yeah, and then of course, probably my favorite sequence in the movie is the Ken fight and the Ken musical sequence, which is the song we're going to be using for this podcast.
Yes. And but what leads to the Ken fight?
Them getting jealous, making them jealous, basically to get to the polls or whatever, like
so they can vote,
so they can change the legislation.
See, this is what I'm saying. This is like
it's very stupid.
So basically, and a lot of people have made this point, and like this is where like. I still see stuff on Twitter even when I'm trying to avoid them. Yeah. Avoid stuff where it's like there's the backlash of this movie's so neoliberal or so like not socialist enough, and then there's people like but it's a Barbie movie. Why does it have to be all that? And it's like I kind of agree with both sides almost. Where it's like then that's kind of the tension of this movie.
Yeah.
Where it's like
it kind of makes it tough.
You're like because when you think about it for more than 1 second, you're like wait a second because it's trying to be political, and that's where like this part is very political at least on a surface level, like we've been saying.
Yeah.
Is like. Okay, so the way to help people realize feminism is to preach to them, go to talk to them on the streets, be a rational adult, which obviously doesn't work. I've seen in the real world, and then also go to the polls and vote.
Yeah,
which obviously we've seen doesn't work in the real world.
Yeah, and make the men fight.
Yes, exactly.
Which we don't need help fighting.
Make them jealous. Make men jealous. Yeah.
I mean, but if making men fight leads to this good of musical sequences,
yes,
and
I do actually like the message behind this Ken fight because like it's honestly kind of sweet at the end because they're all singing about how like we're enough basically the way we are like it's which is kind of like because like whatever you think about Barbie Land, like Barbie Land's literally just the patriarchy but it's the matriarchy, and then they go to the real world and that's whenever everything's all flipped around and they come back and then it ends the exact same way where it's still a matriarchy, which is what they wanted obviously, but the Kens now at least have. I think they actually said in the movie they have like a person on the Senate or something. Like they're gonna who knows where they'll be in like 80 years. So it's making the point that the Kens are like the women of Barbie Land or like the women of the real world in Barbie Land. Like they're gonna have to go through the same shit women went through to like get suffrage basically. That's what they're trying to say. But like I do like the Kens actually just saying like we're enough, like that, like we matter basically just as we are. Like you can't just like I'm just Ken. That should be enough. It's just like it's a sweet little message saying like because their whole point for being there is like if Ken isn't noticed by Barbie, his day is ruined. Which is just really depressing to think about because and him realizing that then like I'm enough basically is kind of sweet.
Because him becoming his own independent.
Because that is kind of how men need to think. Like I don't know, like it.
And
you don't have to. You can't think of someone else's opinion of you over what you think of yourself, basically. Or like you can't take what someone thinks of you to that much heart. Like you have to think like I'm enough, basically.
Yes.
I'm enough, and that should be enough for me to like be able to live, like to like
Especially
live
since
on,
they're definitely
almost.
playing on like kind of the reverse of how it's usually in, especially movies.
Yeah.
The male character, like the woman character in the movie, basically only relies on the male. They get their kind of self-worth from the male character.
Yeah.
Almost. And we're going to talk about that with Oppenheimer coming up, but you can see what I mean though. Where usually the woman character only exists for that.
Yes.
And they're kind of playing on that and that's what makes Barbie kind of unique is that the guy is the one in Barbie world who exists for that. Literally, that's why Ken exists because Barbie exists first, you know. And that's why I guess that song kind of does. It is kind of like breaking that almost. Too,
it's breaking that, but then it also just goes it's why I love that moment, and then it just goes to the very end of like it's just back to the way it was basically, which is kind of how life is. Like if you think about it, but they're also like they're just trying
except for Barbie though.
Except for Barbie, yeah.
Except that's why I guess we're already there. Like this last scene with the creator as God, which is definitely Truman Show like.
Yes, that is.
Where we literally see the real creator behind it and stuff. But this one, where she's way more like actually a god. Yeah. In this one, and being like, yeah, you can be human if you want. I guess. I didn't
like the ending. Ending was. I really wish it didn't.
It's just very maybe it is. It's inspiring for people, so I don't want to say too much. Yeah, it's very much just like. You're a woman because you're strong.
Is it inspiring for people? Oh, okay, that part. Okay, that part. I thought you meant the actual ending. Whenever she's like getting a job, I was like, that's inspiring for people. What?
Yeah, it's just the ending's not for me. Maybe I should say that, but we have to mention also.
It's a swing though, at least.
I didn't mind that part of the ending. I didn't like the God Creator character, but it did lead to this moment, which is kind of sweet. Like this is the moment I was talking about, where if I was like a daughter with my mom or a mom with my daughter, I would fucking cry. Yeah, because that's what it's made for almost. Is that moment like.
Yeah, which I was gonna mention. I forgot to say. What did you guys think of the moment where Margot's like crying about like her not being like beautiful or whatever, and then the voice, the narrator is like, no, to film.
That was good.
Margot Robbie's not.
It's like, not the right person to cast to make this point.
Honestly, that was pretty funny. Honestly.
It was pretty funny, honestly.
It honestly felt like because I remember seeing someone there was like a meme like about that recently on Twitter.
I haven't been on Twitter for like the last.
There's like a lot of memes like that. Like just in general, where you see where you cast an ugly the person in the movie is supposed to be ugly,
but then you just give her glasses.
Yeah, you just give her glasses. She's really attractive or something.
No. You take the glasses off, and then she's attractive.
Yeah, she's attractive, but she's still attractive with glasses.
No, yes, exactly.
But I think the glasses are hiding or something. It kind of felt like that. It's like, but the movie's like trying to be self-aware about it.
Yeah, I get that for sure.
Because Helen Mirren, does she even come back at the end? Does she narrate at the very end too?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Because she narrates the beginning with the whole 2001
Probably
stuff.
That makes sense actually if it was.
But I actually don't know because
I can't remember.
We did miss one of my favorite parts in the Return to Barbie Land, whenever she has to go and like get Ken to like basically like kind of trick him, and she's like, "Can I come back and live with you?" Basically as your somewhat serious like girlfriend. He's just like. It was like, hold on. And then he walks behind the corner and he's like, sublime! And I was like, oh my god. Yes. It was one of the best moments of the entire movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
We also forgot about Alan's action scene.
Yes, Alan's action. No, we forgot. We didn't talk nearly enough about Michael Cera because he's hilarious in this movie. He's one of the best parts for sure.
I'm here for a Michael Cera renaissance too, especially since he's going to be on Wes Anderson's X film, The Star in it. So.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So yeah, but he was really good. I mean, I knew.
I miss his
character was announced.
Yes, I miss his face.
I miss his face in theaters.
Yes, we needed it.
I don't even know. I guess Alan is a real Barbie. I think
it's discontinued.
But it was a real Barbie anyway.
Yeah, I think most of the Barbies.
And I don't know what it looks like, but he looks like him. You know,
it
works.
It works.
He's perfect. But Simu Liu was awesome.
Yeah, I don't want to leave without. I didn't want to stop without mentioning him too. I did actually like because I obviously haven't seen Shang-Chi, but I've seen all the shit he says about it, and it makes me not like him that much. But then watching this, I'm like, okay, he's not bad. I like him. He's definitely enjoyable to watch.
Oh, yeah,
he plays a good counterpart to Ken.
He does. Yeah.
It's really funny.
But honestly, he could have used more like just musical. That's all I was saying. Maybe
honestly,
I would have preferred more like it had me. I never thought I would say this, but it had me wishing for Demi.
Okay.
Oh,
in terms of
better, yeah.
in terms of Demi sticks to he still sticks in the same world.
His are way more political.
And it's no, but it's all he trusts his world,
really.
his singular world that he builds. It doesn't have to come in and out of it and be okay, now it's self-aware.
Well, and Demi is kind of
now this is actually about U.S. politics. And this is
they're handled a lot better.
And there's two human characters where you can relate. And so it's no, all of Demi is just one world,
Yeah, because he realizes that she can relate to the people in this fake world.
Yes, exactly. It's studios don't trust that. We have to have some humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Jurassic Park, the Jurassic Park thing, I relate to the dinosaurs,
But yes, Demi, maybe just because we both seen Demi, that's one reason, or all of us seen some Demi is the reason we don't like this movie as much also. Because he just does it better.
But this movie obviously is referencing those kind of movies.
It is, yes.
Yeah, she named both Umbrella Cherbourg and Young Girls Rush for Us.
Exactly. Dude, remember when she, at the very beginning of this movie when she wakes up exactly like the blonde in Umbrellas of Cherbourg.
Oh, wait, Catherine Deneuve?
Yeah, Catherine Deneuve, yeah. When she
that's Donkey Skin. Are you talking about Donkey
Skin? Is it Donkey Skin?
It might be Donkey Skin.
The one where she wakes up singing and stuff.
It's probably
Donkey Skin, I'm pretty sure.
And she has the same hair, too. Or similar hair.
Donkey Skin, probably.
That feels like something to be in Donkey Skin.
Does she sing in Donkey Skin, too?
Yeah, it's a musical.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember if she...
Does she sing in Donkey Skin? You've watched Donkey Skin.
Because I was thinking of I was thinking of the other one, Young Girls of Rush.
Yeah, it might be that one, too.
That's the one I was thinking of when I saw it in the movie theater.
It would fit in that.
You never see her wake up in bed in Young Girls of Rush.
Really?
Okay. You see them in the morning come out of their room.
Maybe it was in the morning, just in general.
Yeah, that might be it.
It's very similar because she has the same
I've seen Young Girls Rush 4 times, so I trust myself. Love that movie. Obviously.
It's a good movie.
Amazing.
Better than this one, that's for sure.
Better than most movies, honestly, if we're being honest. But anyway, I guess any last words on Barbie?
Break time.
And I guess we're now going to go in to get into Oppenheimer, the new movie from Christopher Nolan, who has kind of become, I feel like, a quite controversial filmmaker, at least on the film discussion, Twitter and Reddit that I'm on. That he's sort of he's very hit or miss for a lot of people, and Nolan, yeah. Okay. So I'm honestly, before we really get into Oppenheimer, what are y'all's thoughts on Nolan in general?
Nolan in general, I think I talked about him maybe it might have been on our first episode where I was just saying the filmmaker that got me introduced to really loving cinema in the first place, or kind of just at least open the door, was Nolan. And I think he's that way for a lot of people our age, but I'm glad to say that he's still a really good filmmaker in my eyes.
Yeah, yes.
To some degree, there are a lot of the easy joke is IMDb top 250 movies and stuff like that. Where just the basic movies that are still good movies.
Or his characters are bad,
I'm just saying movies that are filmmakers that are known. When you're first getting into cinema, these are the filmmakers you watch. Yeah. I still think he's still a really good filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I still think he'll stand the test of time and stuff. When a lot of those other movies, I don't think really are that good when I go back and revisit them.
Yeah.
But Nolan's definitely not like that. And I think you were going to mention this probably, but he does in some ways feel like he's gotten better.
Yes.
And he's getting better. He's still in his prime, kind of.
Yeah.
He's still experimenting. He's still trying new things to see what you can do with the medium and stuff. Which what I love about him the most.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I love Batman too, and he made the best Batman movie. So I gotta put that in there as well.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll talk about myself. Like, yeah, Nolan. I'm very similar experience with you with Nolan. Is that he really was when I first came to cinema. Like, he was the first filmmaker I fell in love with. Like, as a filmmaker, you know, like he was kind of like my introduction to that, like loving a director.
Honestly, that's a good way to say it. Like, he was the first time, or at least probably the first time, where I actually cared about like. Where it actually made sense to me that films aren't just like these things that just appear in theaters every once in a while. They actually have like an artist. They can actually have like a single artist behind them.
Auteur, basically.
Yes.
As an auteur.
Like an artist, the same way like most people understand songs have an artist behind them. You know, like Nolan was definitely probably the first filmmaker like that.
Yeah, and of course I sort of like like of course when I watched like my first like year like getting into cinema, I watched him a lot. And I kind of didn't watch them for like a couple years, and then like revisiting them, like I still love them, honestly. Like, obviously you can probably just like you could poke holes in them, but like just overall, I love his way of just like achieving spectacle, and I do think like Interstellar forward to me he's like reached a new level in my opinion. I feel like he's a much more like as a visually I feel like he's gotten a lot more interesting. Also, I think his editing has gotten very a lot more experimental too.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which I mean,
even though you could even say right from the beginning with like Memento and stuff, he was already doing.
Okay, yeah, for
things.
sure. Memento too, yeah. But I guess maybe it's just that experimental taken into like these very like high blockbuster movies is so interesting about him.
Exactly. And I think that's more than. I think that's a little more accurate than saying he's. To some degree, he's definitely. I don't like the word evolved. He's definitely changed, or definitely. Maybe honed his techniques and stuff in terms of what he's interested in.
Yeah.
But even that's what makes Nolan so cool. Even from his early movies, you can see he's always been interested in these same kind of ideas and concepts.
Yeah.
He just has the bigger budgets or grander ways of doing them than he did back in when he was making Following and Memento.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes like literally all his movies, like even The Prestige. That's what makes Prestige so interesting. The way it's edited, the way like by telling you the perspectives of both characters, like it leaves out so much at the same time, where they still pull off the surprise at the end and stuff like that.
No, that's my big thing with Nolan. That's like what he's been doing basically is like
this
looking
movie
at
has that.
This
movie has that surprise thing of the Prestige too. Now that I'm thinking about it, like literally with Robert Downey Jr. and everything.
Yeah.
Well, no, I would just say like the one word that can describe Nolan's career is perspective, because he's always getting you to think of like what perspective are you looking at this movie basically, like from Memento onwards, honestly. Memento is all about perception or like perspective of like. What is your perspective on like life if you don't remember anything basically, and then like the Prestige is all about like the perception of the perspective of the two men, and then like Inception. I mean, fuck, it's gonna be all about perspective. Like Interstellar is the same way. The perspective on like what is love basically. Is love actually a force in this world? Tenet, perspective on time, like obviously, like what's like is time.
Dunkirk's more like. The confusion in war, I feel like.
Dunkirk also messes with perspective too, though, because it's telling 3 separate stories and it's doing it all in like the same, like trying to fit in like.
Well, it's super interesting how he does Dunkirk, because like the Tom Hardy one's like over the span of 3 hours.
Yes.
It's
another
the
one
boat's like over the span of like 3 days, and then the beach one is 3 weeks basically.
Oh, a week, yeah.
Or I think is it 3 weeks?
Yeah, the mole is a week. Yeah.
Is it a week? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's a week. Yeah.
So it's weeks at least.
Yeah. But then this one specifically is about like this one. It might be his most like perspective movie of like like he's taking it the furthest length of like taking one of the most controversial men in history and trying to show you basically like how he perceived the world.
Yeah. Compared
to like how we perceive it now, or like I don't want to say he's trying to make you see how he saw it, but because he does still take Oppenheimer to task. I think like he's not like supporting him obviously. But maybe
it's more just like he's showing all the sides of him.
Yeah, he's showing like at least in Oppenheimer, he's showing like this is inevitable almost. Like humanity's leading itself to this point.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's a chain reaction. No matter what type of perspective you have, like this is always the perspective that humanity basically has. Like we're always going to lead ourselves to death almost.
Yes. Yeah. I really like what you said about perspective too, because it leads to a few things. I mean, this is true with a lot of filmmakers we've talked about. it's definitely about perspective, but I think he's trying to by perspective, it's almost like he's trying to get you also to feel what it would be like to be
there,
like you were saying. Time with Interstellar. Honestly, a lot of his movies have to do with time, so you could say a lot of those, a lot of the words you use for every single movie, you could use for all of his movies in some ways too. And that's why I'm saying a lot of his movies have always had these same kind of themes in them, just in different ways.
Yeah.
But I like the because Tenet also has this feeling, this theme specifically of not only having the perspective of understanding, but also just feeling. And that's something what cinema can do, right? Not necessarily even being and that's why you said you could easily poke holes in Nolan's movies or have plot holes in them. But if you're really watching them the way a film should be watched, with attention, of knowing how film language works and everything, or at least having some understanding of being, at least willing to be entranced in a film, he can actually get you to that place where you are feeling like that. Where you are feeling those things. And that's what cinema can do. Not where at the same time, if you logically poke holes in them, you can, because it's a movie. Obviously you can. It's not real life. But he does try to do that. And after we watched it this movie yesterday, he did this 20-minute interview with this physicist on YouTube. And I listened to it. And there's this interesting part where he said, the reason why I was interested in Oppenheimer was, or one of the reasons anyway, was he was interested how when a lot of these physicists at the time were thinking about how a chain reaction would happen at this kind of microatomic level, how they would imagine it in their heads. He was he was relating that to how Eisenstein thought about cinema in terms of relating how shots were combined, in terms of being I've actually mentioned this earlier in terms of how Einstein thought of shot 1 plus shot 2 equals a new thought, basically thought 3 or whatever. But this is Nolan relates that kind of to how a lot of these physicists were thinking about how these images would happen, because there's think about it, if you're literally thinking about what happens when this occurs, the images, there's nothing to relate it to, so they're imagining a lot of it. You know?
Okay, so
it's theoretical.
Yes, it's theoretical.
Thinking
exactly.
how Eisenstein that sets up a chain reaction of modern cinema.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
But literally thinking about it. Okay, when you make something explode or something, what is happening? What would that look like?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a lot of these all of a sudden where that's why I love a lot of these editing. He does a lot of these kind of
cross-cutting.
No, there's a lot of these kind of. There's this montage of him having these almost hallucinations and stuff.
Or the
Malak shots.
The particles.
A
lot of people are saying
it's definitely Tree of Life
anti-creation sequence Tree of Life. It's Tree of Life's about the creation of things. Oppenheimer is about the destruction.
Yes.
They are kind of opposites in a way.
Yes.
But yes, Malak is very obviously inspired.
Or Voyage of Time.
Voyage of Time too. Yes.
Which is. Honestly, Voyage of Time was, especially the earlier parts of Voyage of Time with the volcanoes and stuff.
Yes, oh my god.
But that's kind of what I was saying, because a lot of those are Oppenheimer's having almost nightmares, and then all of a sudden it cuts to this whatever he's thinking about.
Yeah.
And that's something what cinema can do, is show you that almost.
Yes.
And he was saying that's what made him really excited to do the movie. Thinking about trying to get into the minds of what these kind of physicists were thinking about at the time.
Yeah.
And like Blake said, I think he even mentioned something how a lot of them knew this was kind of inevitable.
Yes.
And how they really saw it as not even a choice, because it was either Nazis get it or nothing, or us.
It's it feels wrong, arguing or trying
from our perspective of not knowing how immediate the threat the Nazis felt of. If the Nazis do get this and no one else is doing this, they will destroy the world.
Yeah.
So even if the next best argument is the second most evil person in the world is getting it, it still makes sense to do it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the most evil person in the world getting it.
Yeah.
And that's basically that's what a lot of these physicists felt like their choice was, right or wrong.
It's a very interesting moral dilemma.
Yeah.
It's the human progress doesn't stop just because we don't like it, or just because it's something we create.
But see, this is the problem,
might be that.
And this is where I always This is why I hesitate with the word progress.
Yeah, progress.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Yes. It's progress for technology.
Yes, for technology.
Is that progress for humanity necessarily? And that's kind of what this movie is about.
That is what this movie is about. It's so it is hard to especially make a movie about someone like Oppenheimer trying to rationalize the making of the atomic bomb, because that is kind of what this movie is about too.
Yeah.
Or at least showing you the thought process of how this came to be, because it is he does it well enough to make us at least think I mean, they didn't really have, like, that is the thing. Like, in the grand scheme of things, you really didn't have a choice because every nation in the world has scientists that are going to be doing something like this, probably, unless all the scientists just banded together and said, no, we're not going to do this. But that's not how it works.
Like, that's what we've been saying. Once the chain started,
yes, it's just
once people realize this kind of bomb is possible, then it's about who gets it and who's going to.
Or not even possible, but just like even like once that happens. Even if it's theoretically possible, they don't know if it's even possible. It's just even though it might not be possible, other people are still trying. So you have to try to do it also. Like you have to be the one that does it first because you have to have the ace. You know, you have to have the ace in your hand, which is like what leads to the H-bomb thing later on. And like it just
it's honestly crazy to think about.
It's crazy to think about, and it's just Oppenheimer is such a controversial character because he always did rationalize this up until his death. Like he tried to rationalize this, like the making of the atomic bomb, and at least in this movie it works. Like him rationalizing it kind of doesn't win you over to his side, obviously, because we didn't.
That's where I wanted to ask you guys. Maybe we can talk about that throughout. But like, do you think it does? Do you think people come out of this movie being like Oppenheimer was rationalized with like? He's sympathetical. He is kind of like more like you should feel bad.
I didn't come out of it feeling that we should feel bad for him. No, because there was that one specific quote that you brought in your Letterboxd review, especially that wasn't about the atomic bomb. It was about him sleeping with Florence Pugh.
I would say for me personally, I understand him, but I wouldn't say I like sympathize with it. It's like I understand the dilemma he was faced with, basically. And
it's the prisoner's dilemma. Like it's literally basically the prisoner's dilemma. Because the prisoner's dilemma is like, you had like say you have a friend over here and then you're locked away over here. The cop can tell you like, your friend rat on you. So like if you tell us this like about him, like then we'll give you like this type of thing off. Basically, like that's the prisoner's dilemma. That's almost kind of like what this is. Almost like not a prisoner's dilemma in that sense, but like they're trapped in like they have to do this almost because like. They're prisoners to this dilemma. Yes. Not the prisoner's dilemma, but they're prisoners to this dilemma.
No, I definitely,
But, and even the bigger rationalization for me, and the one that I think Nolan does a good job at showing, is the rationalization of dropping the bomb twice. Yeah. Because I do think that's the one where even Oppenheimer in the movie is like, we shouldn't have dropped the bomb twice at least. Like once was probably enough. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, his rationalization for even dropping the bomb is also a decent. It's at least in my cynical worldview, it's a decent rationalization for dropping it because humans will not respect the power of something unless they see it firsthand. Like we've seen that throughout history.
There's a quote. Hold on, I actually need to bring up a quote. He talks about that. Wait. Hold on. Okay, they won't fear it until they understand it, and they won't understand it until they've used it.
Yeah,
that's the
whole thing. Like that's the whole thing with humans in general. Though, like our whole evolution has come from trial and error. And like we've evolved via trial and error, and that's just like this is just the natural evolution of humanity, and it's really sad to think about it that way, but it's kind of is like.
Yeah. No, that is depressing. I mean, obviously, I can't disagree with that because it's happened. Like,
I
mean, to be honest, though, it's only happened once. Like, at least no nuclear bombs have been used since then. For now. At
least on people, though. There's still been tests. Like,
there's still been tests.
But that's why I love the ending of this movie, especially because the whole thing with him and Einstein's conversation about like. Einstein saying it, the theoretically this might just blow up the world literally, it would just ignite the atmosphere, which it's insane that their egos actually let them just do this in general, even though there was like it was near zero. But
zero would be nice.
Zero would be nice, but
this is the thing though. Even with that, like, think about how many we drive a car every day, and our death is near zero, and we still do it.
Yeah,
and we just rationalize it away. Think about how many near-death things we do. I mean, near-zero things we do.
Or just near-death.
Yeah, fly on planes.
That's what I'm saying. We do them all the time.
That's true.
And they actually have a more logical reason we don't want Hitler to do it first. Because, he doesn't care about near-zero.
No, that's true. No, but it makes, like, the whole, like, the end, like, him saying...
But that's the thing, it doesn't require some kind of hubris to do that, right? It does require some kind of hubris.
We talked about how, basically, at the end... Should I just say that?
Yeah, we can just talk about it.
Yeah, just talk about it. But like basically,
honestly, we should just go throughout. We'll just
But
that's what
basically telling
to
Einstein.
to, yeah.
You remember when I told you that if we like the bomb, it might ignite the atmosphere, and start a chain reaction to destroy the world. Maybe we did.
Yeah,
maybe we started the chain reaction.
Yeah.
That's such a fascinating thing to think about.
Especially since we did mention Tenet, and Tenet kind of ends like that.
Yeah, Tenet. Yeah,
that's why those movies almost connect them. These two movies
it's like a prequel or sequel to Tenet.
Depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But that's why I was saying we can kind of talk about going back and forth, because it's not a twist really in the movie, but it's almost like a twist in terms of what you expect a conventional ending to be, in terms of like even how he films it and stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe the one argument I could hear for why this movie is 3 hours, even though I still think it should not be 3 hours, because no movie should be 3 hours. Maybe I'll watch it again and I'll disagree, but like, because I did hear him saying that like Video Club interview, that one of the movies they were kind of keeping in mind was Mozart.
Amadeus?
Amadeus, the Mozart movie. Yeah, Amadeus.
Yeah.
And have you seen that?
Yes.
Okay, because especially with he says Salieri as Downey Jr. and Mozart as Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like they're kind of dynamic, you know.
Yeah.
Like he respects him, but also he kind of hates him at the same time, and that's why he wants to get him and stuff. But that's where the twist in this movie comes. Is that kind of like first? It's like really the twist in the movie is Oppenheimer's kind of built up as this almost heroic figure of he's the guy that's building the bomb, he's the inventor, etc., right? He's the creator. The bomb goes off. Honestly, it's an amazing film scene.
It is.
It's like where he's like the music gets really loud, everyone's excited for the bomb to go off, and then total silence. Like, dude, the scene it reminds me of is in 2001.
Wait, which scene are you talking about though? Before you say that.
Where they actually watched the test. The test. The test scene, anyway. That's actually which I love too. No one actually understands. Where, like, for a scientist, that would be their big scene. That would be their big scene for a scientist. Well, it's the test, right? Not the actual event.
Yeah, and since we're already talking about the scene, like, just the fact that, like, in the theater when I was watching it, when the countdown was happening, it's getting super tense. I'm, like, waiting for the explosion to happen. It doesn't. It's completely silent. You're like, oh, wait, the sound has to travel. And so you're still on the edge of the seat waiting for the sound to come.
Oh, man.
And it takes like 20 years, 30
Well,
seconds.
no, but there's a montage, too, of all the characters. All the characters are like waiting in anticipation. Oppenheimer, too.
Oh, man. It's so funny when Edward Teller puts on the goggles and stuff, and the guy, and he offers, like, do you need some goggles to the guy in the car? He's like, no, I got the glass there.
You need.
But, oh, man. But, like,
no, but what the scene reminds me of 2001 is, like, remember in the explosion where we see the guy in the spacesuit coming back to the ship, and you think, like, in a normal movie where you're going to hear an explosion happen, it's going to get really loud, right?
Yeah.
But in, like, in 2001 and in this movie, right when the explosion happens, it gets really quiet.
Yeah.
And in 2001, it's because in actual space, there's no sound.
Well, Interstellar,
so right when the door comes off,
Interstellar does that too.
Interstellar does the same thing.
Yeah, when Matt Damon's character docks the ship.
Yes, same thing.
If you think
but it's just playing on your expectations of it's building up, the music's getting really loud, and then right when the bomb goes off, total silence.
Oh man!
And it just works so it's even louder than what a loud noise would be. Almost.
It is.
Yeah. And then the cuts, the loudness comes from the faces you see of everyone's reactions and everything,
and just
the light too.
Oh my god!
The light. It's so beautiful.
It's crazy. He also filmed this practically. Like what the hell?
I think it's miniatures. Like that's what I've heard is like the background is at least miniatures, and they did like a mini chain reaction. That's how they actually did it. But I'm not sure. I'm going to buy this on Blu-ray, obviously, and watch the special features to actually see. But I don't know if I doubt Nolan's mentioned how they did it just yet. But whenever you just think about the nuclear bomb going off itself, like that's kind of how you would think about it going. Like it's literally the implosion of a star.
Yeah.
And whenever a star implodes, it just like is nothing basically. Like it just sucks in everything, including sound. So it's like, it was just a perfect way to film it for sure. Like, oh my god.
Oh, dude.
And whenever the sound hits, it was awesome.
And just in IMAX, like I'm sure every person reviewing this movie is gonna say this if they watch it in IMAX and stuff. It's like you have to watch it in IMAX.
The seats rumbling was my favorite.
Yeah, the seats rumbling. No, dude. It's great.
Yeah, it's more for the sound.
This is one of the benefits of being the day after we just watched it. I can still very remember exactly how we watched it.
I'm surprised you haven't said this is Nolan's Western yet, Luke.
Okay.
Wait,
Just
why?
throw back to Asteroid City. Him saying that was a Wes Anderson's
Okay.
Western.
Oh, wait, you cannot compare those.
thing.
I am
Oh my
fully
God.
agreeing
No,
on this.
No.
Oh, I don't know. This might be more of a Western because
There's
they're
no cowboys
on
in
a
Asteroid
ranch.
City.
They're on a ranch. They're riding horses through a desert. You know, this is your.
There's
this
horses
is your whole
in
thing with
Asteroid City.
Westerns. No, that's what I was saying. But this is literally the exact same thing he was basically saying about Asteroid City.
I said
just the aesthetic of being in the West.
Ways,
like,
yes.
that does make it Western.
There's still some cowboys too.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy's a cowboy in this. I agree.
No, I mean in Asteroid City.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, it's kind of. I don't know.
No. Blake is hating too much on
I was
that.
just making a joke.
Yeah.
All right, it deserves to be hated on.
Okay.
Not Western.
Damn, where do we even go now?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I guess.
That's
Okay, I will say, in terms of structure-wise, the way the movie's told, it reminded me of two movies. First of all, is like the one that everyone. It's just the most obvious movie ever, Citizen Kane.
Okay.
In terms of the lead character, even though Citizen Kane gets way more in terms of all the other perspectives we get.
Yeah.
But this one is like the lead character who's kind of a villain, just a complex character, but kind of a villain too.
Yeah.
But we get the subjective versus objective distinctions.
Yes.
And also, it's like we also get it through multiple kind of back and forth timelines, which I also like. Where there's like the story's getting told in one perspective, in the future, and then going back, and then telling in real life, etc.
Yeah.
And then the other one it reminded me that's way more interesting, way more recent anyway, is The Social Network.
Yes. Okay, I did think,
especially with the courtrooms, different courtrooms too, because The Social Network also does that, where it's like it makes two different courtrooms interesting somehow.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, it's cutting from one courtroom to another courtroom. So he's like, oh, damn, what are they going to say in this one?
That's awesome.
And that's why I'm like, okay, this is why it shouldn't be 3 hours, because a lot of it, there's so much talking in this one.
Oh, there's
my one complaint where it's like, I love Nolan because he finds a way to do cool action too.
But honestly, the dialogue becomes the action in this one. I don't want to sound like weird.
Okay, theater nerd.
Like, no, but like you see what I'm saying, it becomes he makes the dialogue very tense.
No, he does.
I do love, especially Oppenheimer's trial, like the kangaroo court. Like that's the one I like more because that literally feels like you're sitting in on like U.S. secrets.
It's so claustrophobic too.
Yeah. So, but I'm just talking about like every person, like no matter who you are, I feel like always wants to know state secrets, and that's literally what that felt like. You were sitting on state secrets because it's all declassified now, obviously, but back then it probably wasn't. But he still gives you that feeling of like you're sitting and listening to something and you're not supposed to, basically.
Which but
because that was, I mean, that's what it was set up for, was a kangaroo court, so no one could be there because he was a really good salesperson. So
yes.
I'm sorry.
I know you go.
Okay, because I kind of started the point, and then we talked about the explosion scene, and we kind of got off track because I started the point of why I like that would be like the traditional end of the movie, like that's the conclusion, they made the bomb, etc. He's a hero, but then there's the second half of the movie that is really what that kangaroo court's about in terms of. Oh, you thought you were the inventor hero? You're actually just a cog in the machine, or you're just a chain in the reaction. That's all you were. And
you're the star of the reaction, but it's still just a chain in it. So.
Not even a star, because like we see, there were scientists before him, and I mean maybe the movie doesn't.
The Germans started
to some degree. The movie doesn't do a great job of. And maybe science movies can never do a great job of this, of being like, it's never just one person.
No, yeah.
Even though we do get parts of, like, he's working with the team, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I think that's what the whole point of this whole movie is not just one person, because he's trying to say, like, if it wasn't the U.S., it was going to be someone else. Because Germany started. Like, Germany's the one that started first.
What it means, even for him to say he made the atomic bomb, not really. It's like he had a whole team, and there's a bunch of ideas that have to come up even within that team. And you can relate to that even to filmmaking in general, And that's obviously what Nolan...
Honestly, I saw someone. I don't know if they were joking or not, but they made the point like this movie could. It's sort of stupid, but it's sort of like funny to think about. Like this is like the whole movie's like subtext for Nolan directing Dark Knight, and then starting the chain reaction of superhero movies.
There's gonna be so many chain reaction metaphors now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's interesting to think about, I guess. But
it is, especially because he kind of makes this point like this is how they were thinking about it too. Which I kind of like, where like there's all the groups of scientists and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're kind of talking about it like, is this evil or not? Should we even be doing this at the time? Where most of the time, I kind of like that because most of the time where history is talked about, it's talked about in a way like the people at the time didn't even know like the issues they were facing.
Yeah.
This one you literally have scientists.
Like we know it more than they did or something.
This one you literally have scientists where I had that. I don't remember what his name is, but he's the bigger scientist that was his friend that didn't originally want to go to Los Alamos. He was saying like, I don't want the last 300 years of physics to lead up to a bomb, because that's what a lot of the scientists knew where this was leading. Like they knew what it was going to cause almost. This is just like a weapon of mass destruction is not what he wanted the history of physics to like lead to. Basically, he didn't want it to lead to like a weapon of mass destruction.
But I think that's the bigger really point, though. You could say the movie makes this point, but maybe it's just something I just believe in general is there is no really culminating point, right? There's always there's always a next chain reaction. Like even Oppenheimer thought, okay, this is the big moment. We'll make the one bomb. And then he's even surprised, like, wait, you guys want to keep doing this? And they're like, of course we have to keep doing this because the Germans know it can exist now, and they're going to start.
Because the Russians,
the Russians don't exist now. They're going to try even harder, and he was right, you know.
Yeah. Well, his whole thing is like, if we don't tell them that about the hydrogen bomb, they won't like. His whole thing is like, is it the chicken or the egg? Basically, it's the whole chicken or egg question. Like, if we never thought of the hydrogen bomb, or if we never started working on it, would the Russians have even thought to work on it?
Yes.
Like that's the whole point of this movie is like.
But now they know.
But now they know about it, so we have
to keep working on it. Yeah. Even though Oppenheimer might have told himself like, "Oh, as long as I complete this bomb, we do it one time."
And that's why I liked
no one will want to do it again. Or
that's why I liked his rationalization, at least for why he supported making the atom bomb and why he didn't support making the hydrogen bomb, because he actually says later on like. Whenever they're really forcing in that really good scene, and whenever really like it goes completely silent, and whenever he actually says, I think it actually goes white behind him whenever he's seeing the atom bomb go off. Yeah, and he says like, why did you support this so much and not support the hydrogen bomb? And he's like, I stopped supporting the hydrogen bomb whenever I knew that any weapon we made they would want to use.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, because like that's probably naivety on his part beforehand of thinking that they wouldn't want to use the atom bomb.
It definitely is.
But at least he realized it later, like, and didn't want them to make the hydrogen bomb because he realized at that point that they would actually use it because they'd used it already. He basically was like the person that he was talking about before, where he said, if we don't use it, we won't understand it. Like, it's just making that entire point again. Like, we're going to have to use it.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's just what humans do.
And, but I think, and you kind of mentioned this, but I think the movie does a good job at least introducing the question of like what people are willing to do to rationalize things to themselves. You know, in terms of being like, yes, they understand the consequences.
How do you live with yourself after this?
Yeah,
is a huge point. Is a huge part.
But I think there's a lot of that in terms of, especially the second half of the movie, is like what he did to rationalize himself. You know, like everyone, like Robert Downey Jr. keeps mentioning. And which is true, like you mentioned earlier, Oppenheimer never regretted. He never took it back or anything.
No, he never regretted it.
Yeah, exactly. Which is interesting because Nolan almost shows scenes from his perspective that would make you think that he regretted it.
Like the last scene,
like the last scene or the nightmare, or actually the first scene where he's like getting everyone's clapping for. Yeah, like honestly, honestly Nolan's craziest scenes.
Yeah,
like
he thinks surrealist.
Yeah, in some ways. Yeah, definitely, dude.
Like with the
like. Damn, I was because when I watched it reminded me of some scene, but I can't remember now what I was thinking of when I watched it. Like the face is like almost melting and stuff.
I mean, that's happened a lot.
But, yeah, exactly. But
like when he steps in like
looks like something that happened in a John Carpenter movie, or
like
something.
Terminator 2.
Yeah,
that's the big one that I feel that people always say the nuke going off, and then they see everyone melting. But like Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade. Or not the Last Crusade. Indiana Jones, the Raiders of the Lost Ark has people's faces melting too. So,
but either way, like that scene would make you think he had some regrets.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So I wonder what made Nolan think that. Like,
well, maybe.
Well, I do think there is something to say with they didn't know. Like they knew there would be a lot of death. Like, and that's something that some people can deal with. Like he obviously rationalized like this amount of deaths is okay.
That's what I'm saying.
But then like after they actually dropped both the nukes and the fallout after that, they weren't. At least he's showing that he wasn't expecting that type of fallout. And, and it would be hard to expect the type of fallout that happens. So
like the whole concept of chain reaction, or there's always something after is. Okay, you rationalize it. Like, even Oppenheimer, I think there's, like, a scene when he's being questioned one of the times where he says something like, actually, the deaths were under what we projected. And then someone's like, well, but actually, after a while, it actually added up to even way more. Like, it was like 250K
It's because he was talking about like, just the deaths from the bomb actually.
You can rationalize any arbitrary boundary you want to do. But the bigger point is, okay, even if it was only 10,000 deaths, look what it led to, the Cold War. You know, all the deaths that led
Well, it's
to.
not.
Or
They
how
weren't
many
even
countries
talking
have
about-
died just. How many people have died just trying to get nukes?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that too. But they weren't even talking about that part. They were just talking about the fallout
Yes,
afterwards.
yes. But
Like,
that's
the
what I'm
people
saying. All of
dying
that is fallout,
for,
though,
like
what I
weeks.
just mentioned.
But yes, all that's slightly fallout for
Yes.
sure.
So it's
Yeah.
really like, how are you willing to rationalize it to yourself?
Yeah.
And to me, maybe the movie could do a little better job of it, but it does a solid job of making you be like, he is in some ways kind of just either cog in the machine, at worst like a coward. You know, in terms of being like,
Well,
he
yeah.
could
That's
have had
probably
moments
one
of
of the
leaving
times,
where
yeah.
but he just kind of he's like, I don't want to leave though.
Well,
I'm willing to still at the end of the
I feel like a lot of that, like him being like a coward, I feel like a lot of that was he showed that through his
Yes.
family too.
Yes.
Or
Or just the things he's willing to take is something like basically like shaking the hands of Teller, like shaking still being friends in air quotes with all these people that literally stabbed in the back
for success though, right?
Yes,
it's like
for
it's
success.
for seeing, and that's why I'm saying maybe he could have done a little better job of showing kind of. It's obviously ego, right? He still cares about that image of being on Time Magazine of the inventor of the atomic bomb.
Yes.
You know, having that image of him with the dialogue, "I'm the dad's creator of the world." You know, you can tell he loves that shit.
Oh yeah,
And that's where like maybe I would be like a little more harsh on him, but at the same time,
I think it could have been a little harsher.
yes,
for
instead
sure.
of
I'm honestly curious though, because Nolan did base this off the book American Prometheus. So I'm curious,
like how much.
if there's a lot, if it goes into detail.
Oh
in that
yes,
book.
definitely it would definitely explain maybe why he's portrayed like this in the movie.
But I can see it like him being both ways though. I
No,
don't
that's
think
what I'm saying. It shows him as both ways in this.
It
Like,
does.
I think
But
that's-
I'm saying at the end, it maybe shows him as a little more sympathetic, just in terms of at the end of the day, he's right.
But it also, the movie is from his perspective though too.
Part of it is.
A lot of those scenes are
Part of it is.
like okay wait.
But
like,
his perspective is not his perspective is really not to even make you that empathetic towards him though, really.
like okay wait. So,
Like when you see his scenes where he like all the scenes in color basically.
yeah.
I still don't think it's supposed to make you overly sympathetic towards him.
No.
Okay,
Like he's
yeah.
still making bad decisions, even he's still treating Florence Pugh terribly and all that stuff, even
Yeah.
in the color scenes.
Yeah.
I just think like overall, and maybe that's kind of the point of the movie, like the second half where he's kind of set up. He's kind of seeing like even right after inventing the bomb, they already kind of say, "Oh, it's already passed you by,"
Yeah.
even when they're already shipping the atomic bombs off, he's kind of already seen as like it's already passed him by. It's too late. They're already trying to take a security clearance away, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you?
But especially because a big part of that second half too is that he ticked off Robert Downey Jr.'s character, which is there's a great two scenes in the movie. One like towards like the first half and one in the second half, where it shows him making the joke in the courtroom or whatever thing. And in the first scene, you see Robert Downey Jr. laughing at the joke.
Yes.
Basically, he's kind of making fun of Downey.
Yes.
Something he said, and Downey laughing at it. But then in the second half, it shows the same scene, but then Downey is frowning upon it. And basically, that's the whole plot of Robert Downey Jr. to basically get Oppenheimer out of.
Are both those scenes you talked about the earlier scene where he's laughing?
The
Yeah.
first
And
one
the
where
sec-
he's
is it
laughing
both
is in
in color?
color. No,
Oh,
the
it
first
is?
one's
Okay.
in color.
Okay.
The second
Yeah.
one is Robert Downey Jr.'s
So,
perspective. It's in
'cause
black and white.
I know
so.
Nolan has said this in a couple interviews where the color is supposed to be more subjective,
Yes.
more Oppenheimer's perspective, and black and white's more objective. But really, from what I was seeing, is the black and white is just more from
Robert Downey
Jr.'s. But he keeps saying objective, so I wonder why he's saying that.
I think
Well,
it's,
also a lot of what Downey's saying is in like
is it?
recorded probably.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
think about, like, a
before
lot of,
for
like,
the
court cases and
Yes,
stuff.
Like,
that's
court
what I was
cases.
thinking. Is
Okay.
like that's the
But
more
that's still
objective part. Is the
yes, but that's still
courtroom.
from someone's perspective.
Yes.
It's interesting. I think this is a movie I need to rewatch now because like
And that's where I was saying the Salieri thing really makes sense too, in terms of like being jealous of him and stuff. Like, still trying to get him back years later and all.
And then
that.
basically like the collapse of the ego, which something I love about this movie. I'm gonna bring up here at the beginning of the movie, which we didn't even talk. But okay,
we're going.
Two
We're there now.
two things at the beginning of the movie. The opening quote I really loved.
Okay.
Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to man. For this he was chained to a rock and tortured for eternity. Which, of course, is like a great way to like introduce Oppenheimer's character. But if you guys remember at the beginning, he introduced those two storylines in the movie, or perspectives in the movie as fusion and fission.
Yeah.
Which, if you notice, fusion in an atomic blast, a fission reaction causes a fusion reaction that basically creates the atomic explosion. And if you notice at the end of the movie, since he named both of these storylines, it makes sense where we see both of their career implosions happen at the same time. Downey has that moment where he's met with the reporters basically after Rami Malek exposes him what he's been doing, and then Oppenheimer gets kicked off the team.
The security clearance. He loses security clearance.
Which is both. So if you think about like fusion
and that's how they're interesting. That's how the two subtitles are introduced too.
That's what I'm saying. Like it connects him, and basically that's kind of like the second bomb in a way.
Those are their two moments, kind of.
Yeah.
Personal explosions.
Second explosion of the movie, basically.
Okay.
The two reactions that make the dramatic explosion, I guess, if you call it that.
Yes.
I don't, but
honestly, dude, and that honestly, from those titles too, I knew I was gonna like it because I like movies that just have chapter titles in general.
Yeah.
But also just weird chapter titles, like weird.
Yeah, you don't know what it's headed like.
Yeah, like I mean, Godard has the best ones where he'll like have. Damn, what movie was it where he has the numbered titles but they're not even in order.
Oh, it's Masculine Feminine.
I
think so.
It might have been. He might have given a few.
He did the number of things in Masculine.
Where it's like 1, 2, 7, like. But either way, he does it in this one too. But.
Yeah.
And it's kind of setting you up for the black and white timeline, or the color versus black and white.
Yeah, but you don't know what it means until
later. Yes.
Until later.
That's where I like the idea of introducing the twist. I don't know if it's dramatic enough for me, honestly. It's pushing how dramatic can this kind of reveal of. I mean, really, Oppenheimer just losing security clearance.
Like,
is that that big of a deal?
Well, the thing with that is that
I know he's trying to make it represent
Oppenheimer's the head of the atomic council or whatever, and basically he's wanting to push for them to stop the nuclear thing.
Yes,
but Downey's character wants them to continue, and so him doing that basically continues the chain reaction. Basically, I'm pretty sure that's kind of the point of that, from my understanding. So him getting kicked off is. Makes it so there's Cold War.
Well, the argument they're trying to make is that if he gets kicked off, he'll basically lose his kind of authority. You know, his kind of
lose his reputation.
That too, yes.
So would he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least back then, for sure.
Maybe.
Like there's
or another country could easily just hire him.
Well, that's true. No, yeah, that's true. Actually, Russia could have hired him.
Take a pig. Take his pig. That's what America did. Like the movie is literally about the beginning of time America got him there because he's the one who started the physics program in the United States.
Yeah.
Or the quantum.
Well, he's American. He's American though, or he's supposed to be American. Oppenheimer is. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty.
Because that's
they say, but he was studying in Europe.
He was studying in Europe, because there was no one in physics in America actually studying what he was like wanting, basically. So he had to go to somewhere they were studying theoretical physics. So, but I'm pretty sure Oppenheimer was born in America.
I'm looking it up.
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yes.
Very German last name.
But he says in the movie he came to America, basically he started the
quantum physics program.
He brought it over from.
And that's why Matt Damon's interested in him.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it is kind of it's like and we haven't even mentioned him yet, but who's the actor? Cillian Murphy. Yeah. He's really good in terms of like. Honestly, just like the way his face ages in this movie.
Yeah, just
the makeup in general.
Just no one trusting his face.
Yes,
and his eyes too.
Exactly, gets a lot of close-ups. But like, kind of just him being introduced, and we're being introduced to him as a person in these first
and montage too.
Yeah,
montage. I love you get of course the intercutting with the.
It's my favorite part of the movie.
It's so good. Yeah,
it's definitely Malick vibes, 100%.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just close-ups of like stars and
just
water.
I don't even know what they are, like particles and stuff. I don't know. It's cool though.
Oh, it's all
atoms
stuff. Yeah,
and there's also this kind of introduces like sort of the stuff in the movie that like at first you're like, wait. Did that actually happen? Because he poisons the apple, basically, because his teacher makes fun of him.
Yes.
Which I've and then when the one physicist is about to eat it,
the other guy, the German one.
Kenneth Branagh's character, who's the actor who plays it.
Yes.
But I looked that up. There's multiple things in this movie that I kind of was like confused about, so I looked it up, and it actually that's a myth actually about Oppenheimer.
The poisoning thing?
Which was brought up in American Prometheus.
Oh, okay.
But still, like.
But no one liked the story.
But I mean,
anyway.
it goes to him like wanting to protect his ego at all costs, almost. Like he'd be willing to kill
honestly,
someone.
I like Nolan leaving in that then, cause despite reading the book and stuff, because it does, and to some degree, I do have to mention it because the quote comes up multiple times. The very famous quote of I am death, destroyer of worlds.
Destroyer of worlds.
Destroyer of worlds. It's from the Mahabharata, which is a really huge famous Indian epic.
Yes.
And that whole movie is kind of about these ideas in terms of what does death mean. Like it introduces these ideas of death, like death is basically inevitable. What does it mean just to be a human in that kind of world of chaos and death, basically?
Yes.
And I love that idea of Nolan, to some degree, understanding that he is myth making.
Yes.
He's not directly trying to tell reality. He's trying to tell almost like a myth and only cinema can do, where cinema just by nature is more realistic because you're filming real people.
Yes.
But it's still a myth making in a way, just by filming people. By adding huge music and still making it feel like emotional in some degree.
Yes.
Right?
Dramatizing.
All that stuff. Exactly.
Yes.
And he kind of understands that, but just like in an epic, it makes more sense to be like to make this kind of guy, try to poison his teacher early on or something. Where he is, even though I don't like it personally because it does try to be more realistic. But it does make sense for him to have two women where he's cheating on them and stuff like that. Where it does make him feel more like a epic hero, like a.
Well, and also that actually was what happened with him too. Wait, is that what
I definitely believe that he actually did.
Sorry, you can continue.
I was gonna say this leads me off track, but I'll mention now because this is one of the parts where I've mentioned this before, and I'll just mention it again because I hate when movies do this.
Yeah.
To varying degrees, where it's like they only use women to be like. So there'll be like the loving wife character, and then there'll be the woman he cheats with, and then the guy will have to be like his emotional climax will be like, oh, I shouldn't have cheated, but now I kind of regret it. That's my huge conflict. Yeah, it's like this was happening all the time. Like basically every scientist will probably do this. It's not a huge deal. Like why is this like a huge deal? Like based on how it treats it in the movie, like how it's a huge emotional deal. And I don't know this for sure, but he probably had less regrets about it. In real life, because that's how common it is.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, especially in like higher classes like this, where the movie kind of says, like even early on, like he's cheating on the guys with the wife, and the wife's like, "Oh, he knows,"
Yeah.
Like
honestly,
but that's what I hate. Like with, I think like I mentioned this, like Magnolia does something similar, but a lot of movies do that.
I mean, that's a classic trope in cinema. It's just making the woman just
like that's the only reason both of them there.
That's the only reason.
And he tried, and it feels a little cringy too. At moments where he tries to make Emily Blunt like a more serious character, where she's like trying to come up with ideas and stuff. But it's like, it just doesn't feel realistic. It just feels like she's there to be the wife that makes him feel regret for what he did to Florence Pugh.
I mean, like in what part specifically?
Just that's why her character's there. Like, why else is she there?
She's there to make him feel the consequences for his decisions. That's why she's there. She's supposed to be basically our stand-in.
Where I'm like, that's like, I would prefer it if it just stayed on the scientific side. Maybe hints at it and stuff, but like, it just goes too much. Like, I don't know.
Doesn't give us some great.
Like
though.
the emotional drama is any person could be the. Maybe not any person could actually be it, but it's trying to put you in that position of making that decision. Would you make that choice instead of making the bomb? But then it's also trying to be like, oh, would you also be the guy that cheats on your wife, kind of thing, with you, even if you have Florence Pugh or something. Maybe not exactly like that, but I just don't feel like it's necessary. It's like I don't know if that emotional conflict is really necessary. Okay, that's maybe necessary in that way, but.
You're talking about it's the classic the player quote.
We mentioned surface level drama in Barbie, so I have to mention this one too. Like to me, that's
well,
what it feels very surface level.
It's the classic player quote. If you're gonna have a movie about death and destruction, there's got to be at least some sex in it.
Exactly. Exactly. Honestly, it feels like
it does feel like that though. Actually,
no. Honestly, I think Florence Pugh's. I find simply their relationship interesting because. So obviously, there's a scene where they're having sex and basically the I am death destroyer worlds happens.
Yes.
But if you think about it. So obviously, Cillian Murphy's kind of treatment of Florence Pugh leads to her to kill herself, which actually is left ambiguous if she killed herself because in a brief scene when she's
no, it's not ambiguous.
You can see it.
It's that's supposed to be him.
Yeah, killing her. There's theories though that it might have been actually government officials. It's a glove. So it's ambiguous of who. It's ambiguous if she was suicide.
It's ambiguous, but it's also filmed in a way of him saying like he basically killed her.
But yes, actually that leads to what I'm saying. Like in a way. Florence Pugh's her death is kind of like So you could say, like, she's, like, the more personal side of, like, the death that he caused, if you think about it. It's the most direct, in a way. She's, like, a counterpoint to, like, him creating the bomb, like, and causing death, is that her relationship with Oppenheimer led to a death that Oppenheimer caused. I feel like that's sort of something, a connection between the two.
Wait, what are you saying the death that Oppenheimer causes, though?
Obviously building the bomb. Like,
okay.
And, like, I feel like there's maybe a connection there, too.
See, that's what the connection I'm like, I don't think needs to be there.
Well, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. The real connection is, like, what I'm saying is more like kind of just the national or just anyone could be in terms of if the Nazis are making a bomb, would you make it kind of thing? Would you make that choice? Do we need that extra, like, also your
I need to watch
the girl that you cheated on with, like, also killed herself.
This is why it's so hard to, like,
review
review something when you, like, just watch it.
Yeah, to me, it's like, it feels a little forced, like, that stuff compared to the rest of the movie. I would like it if it just stayed in the almost, like, science.
But what's interesting, too, about Emily Blunt's character is, you know, she has the big climax of her in the room, and basically her shutting down the guy who's trying to, like, get her to say the wrong things, and that's, like, her climax in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's something I found interesting, like, when he's trying to get her to admit that he was, like, with the Communist Party, but she's just saying, but she stands her ground, basically, and says, like, no, he only used them as and basically shuts down the guy who's, like, has the power there.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, I found interesting, is that I looked, people posted the actual, like, transcripts of that exact moment, almost word to word what happened.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Where she's like, I left 18 years ago or something.
Yeah, I forgot.
She's like 16 years ago. No, it was actually 17.
That way it was 18. Literally, like, almost word to
okay.
word, basically.
Yeah,
so it's interesting that it actually happened. But there's, like, multiple. It's like the conversation with Truman. Actually, basically what happened. Truman literally called him a crybaby and tell him make sure that crybaby never comes back in my house. He literally said that to him. That actually happened. There's another one.
That's actually a great scene. I'm glad you mentioned that because that kind of goes with this whole theme of the movie. I think is one of them is like a guy who thinks he's in control, kind of realizing he's just a chain, or like I said earlier, he's kind of just a cog in the machine. Yeah, and that's one of those moments where Harry Truman's like, you think people actually care about who invented the bomb? No, they care about who dropped it.
Yes.
And it's like get that coward out of here, kind of thing. Whereas like to some degree, like even though I don't agree with Harry Truman, like.
He's also not wrong either.
Yeah,
because
like they care about. It's like if you're gonna drop it,
just
be the guy who said to drop it. Don't be like, oh, I actually regret it, in some ways, but I don't actually regret it. Like he's trying to play both sides.
Yeah.
But he's trying to. I think to some degree he's trying to do the whole movie. Where he's like he's donated communist parties, but it's underhand. He'll never admit to it. But because he wants to keep his job as the guy who's inventing the biggest weapon in human history for the United States, but he doesn't agree with everything they do. Kind of thing where it's like. These are the conflicts you have to play when you're trying to play both sides, know.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it still ends up with a bomb being made, and you still started at the or at least you can be considered to be start.
Well, it is in the background, but this whole thing of like nationalism causes basically all of this is kind of like behind the whole thing because I was specifically thinking of like whenever the test is successful. And then we go back and they're all lifting him on their shoulders and everything. And then the American flag is right with Cillian Murphy.
And then right after
it's just like showing it. Yeah, it's just like showing like he's not important. It like really who's really on top. It's the country, the national like nationalism is what causes all this shit.
This movie connects very well to a movie we reviewed on the podcast, The Wind Rises.
No! I was thinking that while watching it. Actually, I was thinking that while watching it. Actually,
damn, I like that.
It's very similar to The Wind Rises. Yes.
Because
that's actually a criticism a lot of people throw at The Wind Rises. It's trying to humanize and rationalize Hero who made the Zero Fighter.
Also, and I also mentioned this too because I was thinking about this movie as well. And I mentioned earlier the kind of connections Nolan even seen with filmmaking and. Just like what they were thinking, the early physicists were thinking about. I also mentioned that with The Wind Rises too. Also between like kind of filmmaking and the consequences of it in early technology, aircraft. Same kind of thing, right? Like filmmakers will justify, be like, oh yeah, but we like without understanding the full consequences of it or what it leads to, you still do it at the end of the day, right? Like because you really can't see all the consequences.
Yes. Man. Okay. Yeah.
I
was also to finish my thought I started earlier about stuff that actually happened that seemed kind of crazy. The scene where they're talking to the Secretary of War and they're deciding where to drop the bomb, And the guy goes, "Oh, we'll take Kyoto off that list." Actually that whole thing because him and his wife honeymoon.
No, that's a very understandable thing that happens because it goes to show how stupid people are, or not stupid, but like how they think, because that's how a lot of people think. It's like they don't want to destroy. Like Hitler didn't want to destroy Paris. He didn't want to destroy. Like it was culturally significant to all of Europe, to have Paris there. Like people don't want this historically cultural significant things.
No, but I don't even
destroyed,
think it's. But even that's also true. But I'm not even. It's not even the historical
it's just
aspect.
His personal act.
Yeah,
his personal
the part where he says
there.
literally, it's almost seen as a joke. Like people in the theater laughed and stuff because it is a joke.
Yeah.
But
it is a joke.
But that's where it's like there are people that rationalize the bomb and being like. And then, but when they tell the story, even if you agree with the bomb being dropped, when they tell the story, they'll be like, "Oh, the Japanese, they were just like these kind of evil people that just would kill the whole population before stopping the battle or anything." Versus, the Americans who we'd already won the war at that point, but we were the ones that obviously should have been in control. We were the most measured and everything. And yet, when you actually go into these rooms, you see actually these people were also idiots too.
Very strange.
These were how these decisions were being made. Like, oh, we shouldn't drop it on this city, not because it's the most rational or anything, but it's because that's where our honeymoon was.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like even if you do agree with the bomb, you don't have to be like, okay, this other side was just good in everything they did. And I think that I would like it if it did it way more in the movie, but it does have its moments.
I definitely see
it's exposing that part.
Obviously, Nolan's Kubrick is a huge influence. I see the strange love influence.
Even though in the video club, I think he knows he's obviously a Kubrick inspired guy.
Yeah.
Because in that video club interview, he's like, I didn't watch Doctor Strangelove for 2 years while making this because I didn't want to. I wanted to stay far away from any connections as possible.
But did he say but it seeped through? Probably.
Probably seeped through.
I mean, he's probably seen it 50 times for this.
No, that's definitely one of those moments where it's you kind of get behind the curtains of
it's just,
you would hope the leaders in charge of this bomb are way different than what they are.
It's just crazy that the fate of someone in Japan is dependent on I guess me and my wife just coming. It's just crazy to think about.
I will say though, you bringing up Kubrick is maybe one of the main differences where I don't like this movie as much as some of Nolan's other movies because this movie is more direct in its historical aspects, right? It's trying to tell more a direct historical movie without maybe some of the experimentation story-wise. Maybe not storytelling-wise, but just story-wise with some of, even Tenet, just one movie ago. Because it is more, it's a more historical drama.
Well, but if you think about it, I think about
you can say the experimentation happens in the editing and how it's told.
Well, yeah, the cross-cutting, I think, but also, if you compare this to, biopics, I feel like is a big thing.
Yes, but I was saying, even before, we've seen some other ones that have this kind of example. To me, the best example more recently is the one I mentioned earlier, Social Network.
Yes.
But even the reason I think I like that movie a little more is, this one, to me, is just, it's still trying to overplay the drama a little too much. Where it's still it's some of the music in certain scenes is trying to be really loud just to make it dramatic because it knows the audience the audience is watching. If there was no music here, they'd be like, "What the fuck? It's just a guy talking."
I don't really think about it in that way.
But there are certain moments
I just think because I guess we haven't mentioned the music. I love the music in this movie.
The music is good too, but a lot of it is very. And I noticed it started to get repetitive a little later on. Where it's another courtroom where it's he's trying to make it dramatic and it's loud music and that's the only thing making it dramatic.
I don't know. For me personally, I don't think of it in that way. I just think of it pairs with the image really well. But that's just how I think about it. I didn't really have a problem with that.
No, I can't disagree.
Yeah. Also, the score is just amazing.
It's a good score too. It just to me, it's at the end of the day, it still feels like just straightforward historical drama, even after all the fancy editing and stuff to some degree. And I still like the movie, and I like the ideas it brought up. But
I don't know.
That's why I've never been as big a fan as Dunkirk as some of his other movies.
Okay. I disagree probably because
Dunkirk's better than this. I think so.
It also is shorter. It actually made me want to go back and watch Dunkirk too. It's damn, maybe some of the interesting.
Well, Dunkirk's
because I do like the idea of
for sure.
you're still telling a historical drama.
Yeah.
But you're trying to make it more experimental, just in the way it's told editing wise. 3 different timelines or 2 different timelines that are going back and forth, or
3. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In Dunkirk. No, in this one. How many timelines did you say is in this one though?
2.
2 perspectives also as well.
2 perspectives, 2 timelines.
I don't know. This one just
there's actually more than timelines because there's also courtrooms. There's also flashbacks of the actual events.
There's flashbacks and flash forwards to later on whenever he wins the Nobel Peace Prize. So.
But for me personally, compared to Dunkirk, I feel like this feels more like it like transcends the historical place it was set in, because it really is about humanity in general and how basically, of course, how you said, like the chain reaction continuing today. I feel like that's kind of what sets this apart from Dunkirk to me. It's more like it's not as stuck in the historical context, like the ideas in play at least.
Okay,
that's how I feel about it. But
see, this is the thing where I kind of agree and I kind of disagree.
Yeah,
I kind of disagree because the idea, like I said earlier, the ideas were played back then too.
Yes,
that's why it doesn't have to leave its context for those ideas to still be in play almost. You know, and that's why, to me, even a good historical movie should be, first and foremost, is try to tell the ideas of that time period. And from that time period alone, we can still see a lot of those ideas still apply to today.
I mean, you brought up The Wind Rises. The Wind Rises is the perfect example of that, honestly.
Where, like, those ideas were still prevalent back then.
The ideas were prevalent back then of, like, should we create this?
Yes.
Like, he was literally having those thoughts of, like, if I create this, what's going to happen? But we never see what happens. It's kind of like in this one. But like, The Wind Rises, we never see the outcome. We do see, like, his dream, his flashback or whatever of, like, all the Zeros dying. Yeah. Or, like, all the Zero fires being destroyed, because that's what literally would happen. But, like, this movie goes the step further and actually showing the effects of, like, the what happened to Oppenheimer specifically after the nuke drop. This one, like whereas The Wind Rises just stops after the creation of it.
Okay.
I honestly was surprised whenever the movie kept going after the nuclear bomb.
Well, that's why it's the fallout is not the fallout's more in his life almost, kind of relating to it's kind of already passed him by. You know, like he thought this was like the end of a chain almost. Yeah. But really, he, like I've been saying, it's just like he's just one cog in it, and it's good.
Yeah, which I also really like the idea of not even showing the aftermath in Japan.
No, that's a Dunkirk also thing. As well. Like it doesn't show the enemy at all.
It's not showing the aftermath, but it's showing the reactions to the aftermath, which does make it.
Because like even there's a scene where they're showing him.
Yeah, they're showing everyone,
and he has to look away, and we don't even see what he's seeing. Like they're showing him the aftermath.
I mean, you can go look them up if you want. They're horrifying pictures.
Yes,
so
and that's also a power of cinema too. I mentioned like when I was doing the Ozu series with the power of the ellipsis. Where you show the before and you show the after, and you don't even have to show the event. Yeah. And that's all you need to show. The event is basically in your mind at that point. Yeah, you know? But Blake mentioned something a little earlier, and I wanted to mention it because on that Nolan physicist interview he did, just forgot.
Damn.
What were you just saying? Because we went off track too, and I wanted to mention it.
What, the Zero Fighter?
Like not showing the like thing.
I'll come back to it.
Okay.
What else should we talk about?
Benny Safdie plays a German.
He's good in it. We haven't talked about really the acting that much. Really.
Yeah, I do like his acting was a little goofy, but I kind of like but his character is a little like.
Which one?
Okay, I remember. Okay, before I forget. Okay, so you talked about how no one really doesn't show the aftermath.
Yeah.
In that physicist interview, he talked about how. One of the ideas that he thought people nowadays that makes it relevant is a lot of people in the AI community are kind of talking about now similar questions of what are we doing now? What could it lead to?
Yes.
And how do we even think about this? Or is it already too late? You know, is it already like this stuff is going to come out anyway? You know, so can we just do the best we can kind of thing? Yeah. And it is very similar, right? It does feel like some of this stuff is inevitable.
It's like
whether or not people want to stop it.
It's this dangerous. Well, it is dangerous technology, like dangerous technology, like dangerous progress, like things that we shouldn't be trusted with the power that we have. Honestly, like. The human mind is insane. Like, it really is insane. The things
it's insane in some, but at the same time, that's what I was saying earlier, where it was like, where a historical movie, I believe, should stay in its historical period in terms of as best as it can, and try to leave the ideas of that time period. So when I say the ideas of that time period were, what kind of questions were they themselves were thinking about in terms of how the atom bomb was going to affect the future, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But you could still take those same ideas they were thinking about, very similar, and then apply them to AI, like Nolan said.
Yes.
And he doesn't have to say it in the movie at all. But people just have those ideas in their head already. They're thinking about it, so that's why it feels like we can connect to those ideas. Yes. Because we still think about those ideas now, even in different contexts. Yes. That's kind of what film can do. Yes. And that's where it's like, at the same time, humans have progressed, etc., evolved in so many ways, but at the same time, they're still kind of always talking about these same kind of questions. Yes. You know, only in new contexts.
Okay. Yeah. I don't really know what to respond to that, but yeah, you're clear, right? Yeah.
You guys see what I'm saying, though?
Oh yes, yes.
Especially with the AI thing, I really think that's a good way to.
Well, and the cinema one, like you said, like with
and cinema too. Yeah.
But yeah,
like like the 20s and even in the 1900s, no one ever thought cinema could also be
powerful
as a negative way. Literally, with the Nazis and stuff. What this movie's about.
Yes.
How much impact a propaganda could have.
Yeah, propaganda. Probably see like
shifting people's minds.
Yes.
Or emotionally charging people anyway.
Yeah, we see that with the amount of misinformation today, like it's still.
Or the hype train I talked about with both of these movies.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously though, there is something about movies that can make. There's not very many things in the world that can make $850 million in 1 weekend. Or no, it was like $500 million combined. Both these movies made in like 1 week.
Yeah.
Which there's not many things in the world that can do that.
Yeah, cinema is dangerous, like for sure. It's a beautiful thing, but it's a double-sided thing,
Yeah. But more
it's
more
just
importantly,
dangerous
though,
because some people don't have or haven't been taught like how to look at something like and actually critically think about it.
Yes.
Like that's the bigger thing. Is like cinema is dangerous, yes. Only though if you don't have critical thinking about what you're watching. Or if you're like watching something half-heartedly, or if the filmmakers, like we talked about in Barbie, are just putting surface-level stuff in there. Like if you don't critically think about stuff like that, then that stuff will dumb down the later generations of our later generations. Like Ghibli movies have way deeper themes and meanings just about life in general than something like Barbie has with its surface-level understanding of like patriarchy and everything.
Oh, for sure.
Like it understands that kids can handle some stuff like this, and that I don't know. That's just something I was thinking about. Like it was like you could
honestly, it can be dumb. Yeah, with Barbie too.
Well, it's just like the future generations. Like it can be dumb, but like this is dumbing down future generations by teaching them not to think critically about something like that. By saying it's just a kids movie. Like it's not just a kids movie. It can be something else. Like
it can be, but maybe more depressingly, and maybe you could say another theme of this movie is it's. Maybe just sort of inevitable. It has to happen this way, right? Like, if a studio makes a movie that's trying to make $150 million, it has to be dumbed down.
Yeah.
Like that's the chain reaction kind of thing.
That's
like,
the chain reaction.
Yeah.
No, I actually do like what we were saying about the Kyoto, how they chose it, because that's also kind of what we're saying. Like humans have to see something to believe. Like they can't see the beauty in something unless they actually go see it for themselves, which is also something cinema can do. It can show us beauty from around the world, which these people back then wouldn't have had unless they went to Japan.
Yeah.
But like that might be why they were like way more willing to drop something obviously on Hiroshima without being there. Like because they obviously didn't visit Hiroshima. Maybe if they would have visited Hiroshima and not Kyoto, they would have like chosen something else.
Exactly.
Even though Kyoto was the capital, like that's the reason they went to visit and everything. But like, would we drop a bomb on Moscow if those people would, if like we had been there to see it and seen the historical significance of like all these cities that you're thinking about dropping a bomb on?
Yeah.
Not even thinking about like the hundreds of thousands of people you kill at the same time. But like just thinking of like the city in general and the beauty of like just life in general. Like you have to basically be there to like you have to see it to believe it.
No.
Which is the whole thing. Like Oppenheimer's whole thing is like you're gonna have to make it and you're gonna have to use it because humans have to see the power they hold to actually believe like what happens after it. Like they have to see it.
Yeah.
So
and maybe that's the message of cinema too. At least to me anyway. You have to see it.
yeah,
Man, this movie's a lot, man.
it is. It makes you think about a lot.
Some
So.
deep conversation.
It definitely leaves you depressed after watching it too, because it is more cynical than like a lot of Nolan's other movies. Like I know you're saying it's a lot more cynical than Interstellar, which I agree.
Yeah,
So
it's like, and Interstellar is a lot like hopeful, and I love that about it.
yes,
like,
no, me too.
It's
I
such
love
an
its message
ambitious,
of love. Because like that's something I love about Interstellar just in general is like love really is an emotion in humans that we don't understand. Like it does transcend time. It's one of the few emotions that does. Like it's just love is a weird thing, and I love how Nolan portrayed it in Interstellar. But this is the more cynical version. I also agree with this version.
This is the Oppenheimer to Interstellar's Barbie. You know.
Okay. Let's not go that far. No.
That's a good tagline.
Okay. I mean, you brought. I guess we haven't really talked about Matt Damon's character, which he's like kind of like the comic relief of this movie.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, he has the great. I mean, of course, we talked about the zero would be nice, but I also love when the one scientist quits, and then like Shimmer's like how are you gonna like stop him from like talking or whatever? And he goes, "Oh, we'll kill him." Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That was funny, but also like, oh, okay, yeah, he's
Yeah,
dead.
he's
He's
kind of believe it for a
dead.
second.
Okay. No, he's dead. That guy's dead for sure.
Oh man.
Honestly, I mean, I'm good. Like, do you have anything else?
Do you
want this to talk about the ending? Because that, I mean, I guess we
kind of
talk about it. Like, it's cynical. It's cynical, but also just real.
Yeah,
it gave me chills, honestly, when it happened. Like, oh my god! And like, when it was happening, I was like, holy shit! If he ends here, I'll be so happy. And then he ended. I was like, let's go.
Let's go.
It's just to cut the black and that realization.
It's sad. I mean, because this is like something that obviously everyone I feel like thinks about now. Like ever since I think that's something this movie also does well. Is like ever since the atomic bomb was dropped, humans have had to live with this existential crisis of we could literally fucking die any day. Mm-hmm. Like if one fucking person releases a nuke, we're dead. Like literally the entire world's fucking dead. Like that's something this movie I think does well is like making us like it's making us actually it's tackling it head on because most of the time people don't want to think about that. All of humanity like we have to live with this thing in the back of our mind that literally Biden, an 80-year-old senile man, can press a button and destroy the world essentially.
Or Trump when he was in office,
or Trump whenever he was in office, or Wagner, like this guy trying to capture or do a coup in Russia. Like, what happens if Putin doesn't have nukes? Like, maybe the guy after him would use them, or maybe Putin's going to use them. Like, it's all this shit. Like, and
it's crazy.
This is the shit we have to live with.
And what's crazy is all these questions are in this movie, and it made over 100 million already. Like and it's insane. Like this is like a box office success so far.
And maybe to kind of give like my I don't know, maybe my last thoughts, but I mentioned earlier with the non-zero thing that kind of goes with that scene specifically. Mentioned, you said like in that scene specifically, non-zero applies, right? In terms of the bomb could go off and kill everything. Yeah. But now all of humanity lives with that non-zero chance, right? At any moment, like you said, that some human and there are scary stories of people almost accidentally releasing
that's literally
exploding.
That's what Crimson Tide is about.
Yes, Crimson Tide is about that. Doctor Strangelove is about that.
I mean, there's literally it literally happened in Russia.
The nuclear submarine Russian
they detected something.
Some.
But they waited because
two of the three. Generals gave the go ahead, and the third one waited because he was like, "What is this? A false alarm?" Basically, he saved humanity pretty much. Like, but
that's what I'm saying. There's always that non-zero chance now, right? Even if that moment they got through that one moment, right now it's always there.
It's always
or there. Another one is already there because it's always.
It's only gotten worse too,
and that's always what human existence is, right? There's always a non-zero chance you're gonna die. Yeah, even if you always want to have that feeling of it's zero, but there's always a non-zero chance.
Yeah, and also I want to mention one thing at the end. I think it was pretty sure it was at the final conversation where Einstein tells him basically when you're old basically the government
turn against you kind of thing.
They'll turn against you, but then at the end of your life they'll give you free lunches and give you a pat on the back, and then you see that kind of that flash forward to it, which I really like. Because that's kind of what happens with a lot.
I think he won the Nobel Peace Prize right then, and that just brings everything full circle of him saying they don't give Nobel Peace Prizes to men who build bombs, and then Oppenheimer was like, whoever made peace, who made the Nobel Peace, the Nobel Peace, or Nobel or whatever, who was the reason it was invented, created dynamite.
Oh my god, damn. Fuck.
I mean, Obama dropped the most bombs on in the Middle East. And
he won the
Nobel Peace Prize too. So it's
a long lineage.
Yeah,
it is a long lineage.
Did we mention the fact that Strauss a big part of the final downfall of him is basically the guy revealing the great line maybe they weren't talking about you in that conversation that whole full circle.
That's true.
It's full circle, and that also just goes to show the ego of just people in power. So thinking everything's about them, which Oppenheimer also did, but.
He's a
that ego too.
He's such a complex person. It's there's a lot to it. I don't know what else to say, but
it's hard to make a movie about someone rationalizing why they made the biggest weapon of mass destruction, an actual weapon of mass destruction. So
but I mean, I guess
I think we're good.
That was
Damn, I don't know what we're doing next week.
We're doing blind spots.
We're doing blind spots, but I haven't decided yet.
Yeah, we don't know that.
It'll be in the description, so.
Yeah. I guess...
It'll probably be two more contemporary movies. Keep the train going. No, I'm kidding.
No.
He's gonna make us watch a DC anime.
It's gonna be two. I said this earlier that I was gonna do DC animated movies, and Luke's face was just the most impressive I've ever seen.
I'm sure they're good. I'm just like I don't know. I'm not super.
Some of them probably aren't good though. That's the thing.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
We're floating through film, Luke.
It's true. It's true.
I'll come to understand someday. Anyway, yeah. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you floating through the cloud.